What's up, Gloucester Township?
If we came in live, we're both gonna be like this, like at each other's throat, like,
oh man!
Each other.
Thank you, YouTube, for making that really complicated this time to go live. We haven't been live now in a couple months, so that was.
And we recorded something prior to this, so that probably also messed up some settings. But geez, Louise.
We did. We did our council meeting recording, our council meeting recap before this, and it messed up the entire process of of what we got going on here. So thank you all for waiting. And if you probably haven't found it yet, because we were on a different stream before, and we opened up a new stream now. So if you're still waiting,
we're just going to be a moment of silence just to give some people time. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're getting right into it, guys. All right. So.
I got a lot of people here, and they're all patient. They've all been patiently waiting. So appreciate everybody waiting. And we've... all
right. Well, you wanted to start off with kind of telling everybody for anybody tuning into this, like who GT Observer is, what this was all about, what this night was about, and everything, right? So...
I did.
To kick that off.
We got so busy that I'm so busy.
Yeah, his brain's fried right now.
Pounding my head to the table that I never opened up notes or anything like that. So
I've been sitting here laughing at this, sitting and watching.
If you're new here and you have never subscribed, like a few of the folks that are here tonight have never subscribed to this podcast.
What is this podcast?
So now's your opportunity. Go to gtobserver.com, Facebook /GT Observer, YouTube.com @Restore GLOTWP, and on X @Restore GT.
Yeah, Restore GT.
So subscribe now, and we've always bring content. We generally do like video or two a week, or a video a week. Generally every other week we do council meeting recaps. You sometimes just wander around parks with a camera, annoy people on the streets.
That's right.
So that's kind of what we do.
But the whole channel is basically we want to get people to participate in local government. Right?
Yeah. So who are the people of GT Observer? It's not just Keith and I. It's a whole group of people. Nobody really signed on. They just all help. It's a community effort here, and we're just a bunch of independently thinking individuals who are we come from all different political parties. It's kind of a political podcast. We're all different political parties here. Just basically trying to get some good government going. For me, this started out. I went to a couple meetings and thought, man, our taxes are getting up there. It's getting a little bit excessive. I went to some meetings, and then some people said, "Trust me, it's way more. It's way more than just taxes." So I gave those folks a chance and said, "What?"
Well, first when you first get involved, you're like, I think those people are crazy. Like, I don't think that can't possibly be true. And then you learn. The more that you learn, you're like, oh my God, that's only the surface of what is really going on. And I thought they were crazy about that stuff. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I, thinking back, so tonight we got 3 school board candidates on the on for tonight. And for me, this school board, for me, I don't get involved in the schools in schools here, but I did go to. I went way back.
You went to school as a kid?
Sort of, yeah. I showed up every now and then, but Camden County Vocational. Now Camden County Technical.
While I'm thinking about it, is my disclaimer going to work if I hit this?
It'll probably melt down, but give it a try. We'll do it all again.
All right, there it is. All right, so anything that I say is my own personal opinion and does not represent any member of any board or the thought of any board or anything else. This is my own personal opinion. Anything that I say on this stream.
So back in I forget when it was. It was 2020. 2020, my first school board meeting. I went to a meeting, and that was when Carolyn Grace left the school board to go become a council member. They were going to put somebody new on, and so I did. I went there, and people said, look, they're going to interview 7 people. There's one individual who's been essential in the campaign for the mayor. She's got the spot. So I said, I don't know. I'll go see. I was new to everybody, and I went and watched this whole process. Some great individuals got up there. Retired educators up there, and I listened to them talk, and some of them like I felt it when they were talking. I was like, this woman has it. And then one came up and she spoke also. And I said, there are 2 people that are clear standouts here. And they said, they're not going to get it. This other person's going to get it. And sure enough, they went into closed session. They came back out. And before they even got to vote, somebody's like, I vote. And it was like, wait, slow down. I was like, wow, they're really excited to vote for these people. And they voted for the person that everybody said they were going to vote for, who is connected to the mayor, council, and everything else. And I was so upset by it. And it was one of the things that kind of led my journey into this whole thing. It was one of the first things I ever wrote on GT Observer. Then it was restoreGT.com. But it was an eye-opener for me. And go through and read that. It's an older...
You pulled the mics out earlier. I was just showing you.
Oh, yeah, I did. I gotta plug Dina's mic in. We'll still hear over here.
Yeah.
But it was an eye-opener for me. And it was...
Yeah, I got involved back in the day because my daughter at the time asked me where do roads come from. She saw a road being put in where there was no roads, and I took her to a council meeting. She really enjoyed that education there. Asked what other things the government does, because it was the first time she was learning about the government, really.
Well, it's a good thing I wasn't there.
We started going to planning board, zoning board, and school board meetings. And as a father of someone in school, I said, you know what, I'd like to get involved in that. And so that's how I ran. Was elected by people of Gloucester Township to be on school board, and that's kind of how the start of me getting involved. The school board is one aspect of my passion for the whole community as a whole, but it's just one piece of it, and I really don't like the way that our government works. Not the school board, I'm saying about our government. Not that I love the way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I wish were different, but we're working towards things. So anyway, I am going to be, because we were going to be doing, so who do we have here tonight? We have,
first up is
Dina Hendry is going to be first.
Dina Hendry's going to be first.
Then we had Joe Tercy. I believe I'm saying their names right. And then Mark, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. He said something like
Torriero?
But he gave like a thing like, remember like this. And I'm not remembering it at all.
I wasn't here. I was probably running around banging. Torriero.
Mark Terrarium.
All right.
So then we have Tim Pfeffer, who's for council. So I'll jump back in after that. And then we also had Helen Albright Troxel. She's waiting, I think, at her house.
I think she's at her house. She's at her house. Yeah, she's
all right. She was also.
She was invited. I didn't want to send out notifications to anybody. I thought, look, the people that are online that have talked to the community, talked to the people, that's the people that I want to talk to. I didn't really want to invite, but I thought on a council thing, I know that she's not involved in anything online, so we sent an invite to her. I don't believe anybody got a response back. So,
I believe also other people that were on the school board. There were other people that were invited, but I don't
they weren't. Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't realize we sent invites out. Okay. So
either way.
So
we have a guest coming in. I'm gonna do a disservice if I introduce him. So we have a special guest that's gonna sit in for me, Chip Pildis. Man, I pronounce everybody's wrong. Him and Mark Terrarium are gonna get along at some point. But yeah, Chip has been a teacher in Gloucester Township. I believe it was 37 years, if I'm not mistaken. And he knows a little bit about that and can help guide Joe, who's not so much, as I have any children in the school districts and doesn't know much about it. So I'm gonna step off stage here and
pass it off. Yep. All right, Keith.
Good luck,
Chip.
All right.
Welcome to the GT Observer podcast.
Hey, hello, everybody.
You don't have to have the headphones on.
We're not playing. Yeah, we won't be. We're not playing clips.
Why not? Sure.
Anything to hear, you should be able to hear.
Go up.
Yeah, you can lift it up too.
There we go.
So, Chip, I guess tell some folks who you are.
I'm Chip Pildis. I taught at Glen Landing 37 years. Recently retired this June, but still inactive in the community. Just like your intro said, people need to be aware of what's going on, and I don't think people are. but I think people are getting more and more interested too.
They are. We've had a this year it's been a big uptake in people paying attention. We've looked at
why
we've been the sewer was a big thing.
Oh.
The sewer was a big thing, but also there's a lot. The people on the Board of Education that follow that stuff, they're really passionate, and they're coming out now. They've started to recognize people. I think they started to recognize when Keith got on. I know Jen O'Donnell's big. She's got a big following of people that really respect her. Dina's run twice, and there's a lot of talk now that I'm seeing a lot of talk now
I've been a
about Dina
candidate
now
for
too,
Black
so.
Horse Pike in the past, and there was no venue like this to get the no man's voice out there.
That was the thing. Yeah.
There's no way to get your voice out at her.
So yeah, we're going to talk about this later also, but we decided I wanted to go down the entire ballot, top to bottom, every candidate on there, and I had been so burned out from politics this year that I focused on national politics and didn't focus on anything else, and I thought I'm going to spend one day. I'm going to do as much research as I can do in one day, and that's going to be my notes for this podcast, to find out how hard it is to do research on the people on a ballot without being politically involved. Because it's not fair to say, don't go there and just vote for names. Do some research. So I wanted to find out how much research it's actually going to take. And I did some. For some candidates, I couldn't find anything. Asked some friends, hey, do me a favor, see if you can find anything for these people. They also couldn't find any information. So that's kind of what this is. This is getting some of the candidates that don't have, if you don't have big money to spend, I mean, mailers. When I sent my campaign a couple of years ago, sent mailers out to every house in Gloucester Township, $13,000. It's a lot of money to spend for somebody that's going to get a school board position that doesn't pay anything. So
Reverse it. Why do they have signs and they're unopposed?
right. There's just
Who spends money
there's
on
so
something?
much money. Yeah, there's so much money involved
things that make you go,
that and this is free. This is free. I mean, it costs Keith and I some money to buy all this stuff, but
This is impressive. By
This
the way.
is thank you.
First time here.
It's a passion now. It's a hobby. So I'm a tech guy. As you couldn't tell by the issues that we had starting this thing up, but so it is. Yeah, it's Keith and I. It's a service that we help, and not just Keith and I too. There's a ton of people behind us. Dina is one of them too that does a ton of work for this community. So I guess without any further ado, let's introduce our first person up. Ms. Dina Hendry. Dina, tell us who you are. Some people that don't know.
My name is Dina Hendry, and I am a professional, a mom of 3 boys, and I attend school board meetings and council meetings, and I just am involved and invested in our community.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great to have Dina. It's been great to have Dina at council meetings with us, and kind of
She attends school board meetings too.
Fortunately, yes.
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, I've asked every time as Chip, as how we knew each other. I've attended school board meetings since 2020. And when I became a homeowner in 21, that's when I started going to council meetings. I didn't go to council meetings. I've been here in Gloucester Township since 2014, and I didn't go because I was a renter and I felt like I didn't have much of a voice. But when I started to go to school board and council, I'm like, why are they on the same night? And why should a resident or a taxpayer or a parent have to flip a coin to see which one they should go to? And I've asked both council and school board, and I've never really gotten a great answer from it.
No, I mean we can only
It's by design.
we can only think that it's so people aren't involved in anything, and it kind of lessens the traffic through. It's kind of one of those things. It's probably an easy change. It's like the lectern at the council meeting. Somebody said, "Hey, can we use that lectern over in the corner?" So maybe we bring notes. Also, there's a sense of comfort involved in that too, and they've ignored that request. And then last meeting, the lectern was gone from the room. So it's a power thing. But so Dina, you mentioned you do have children in the schools.
Yes. So my husband and I, my husband Scott, who's absolutely amazing and supportive, to allow me. No, he doesn't allow me. He supports me. What man allows me to do anything? No, he supports me in being involved because one of us has to be involved, right? And so we have 3 boys. They're all in middle school this year. We have Aiden, who's in 7th grade, and our twins are in 6th grade, Owen and Hunter. So, yeah.
And
Are you involved in the school in any way?
So when I was at Choose, when my kids were at Choose, I was involved with their FSA, which is like a PTA, from the time that Aiden was in kindergarten until the twins were done in 5th grade. Vice president of the Choose FSA. I led the 5th grade group, which was a task. And now this year, I'm just a member at large with their HSA. Actually, I just came from chaperoning the middle school dance, hence why I look like...
I was going to say.
Yeah, this is not my normal attire. It doesn't look like Beetlejuice or Mimi or anything like that.
She usually doesn't show up with glitter.
Glitter eyeshadow.
And the stripes.
Yeah, so I just want to... That's how I am today.
All right, on that note, your children went from elementary to middle.
Yeah.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make as a parent?
Ooh, that's a really great question. So in middle school, it's like they are adults, but at the same time, not adults. They're the teachers and the administration, entrusts them to get it done. And there's not a lot of communication between parent and teacher, but at the same time, as a parent, you are to check behind them to make sure they get everything done. So it's funny that they expect them to be responsible, but at the same time, they can't even wipe their asses properly. So how can that happen?
But what do you say if you're on the board, if elected, to the parent who can't be as involved as you were to follow up after your kid?
It's not easy, and I get it. I work a full-time, job. My husband works a full-time job. There are times when I'm out of the house 12 hours in a day. And you have to try to find a way to check the portal or have a village to say, hey, listen, Owen said he did his homework or there wasn't any math homework. And, you get to know other parents. So you could text them and say, hey, listen, is there really no homework? Or you check the portal. But it is important to be involved and invested in your kid's future. And it takes a team of the parents and the student and the teachers. But we also need to add the administration, because the administration is what is going to make or break, the communication with the parents.
Interesting you said the word team. How do you feel if you're on the board being a team, or will it be divisive?
I would hope as a team, and here's the thing. With somebody who has been in a leadership position in my professional life, I would always say I'm not hiring cookie cutter leasing professionals, right? It's not like a Stepford wife kind of thing. I'm not hiring everybody for the same skill set. I believe that the school board would have individuals that can either get along, but at the same time agree, and sometimes may disagree. And sometimes that disagreement could lead to something more and something better. And if you can be open and say, you know what, at first I didn't think of it this way, but I'm listening to it now and I can see the reasoning, then it's going to agree. I don't think anything is always perfect. It's never it shouldn't never be 7-0 all the time. It should have a little difference of opinion and a little bit of give and take. And that's how you learn and grow and get better.
So you're on the parent side of the school board meetings now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, when you leave the school board meetings, and they can be lengthy at times, do you feel that your questions have been answered and resolved, or do you feel more frustrated when you walk out of the school board meeting?
While I'm eating my chicken sandwich, because it's like 9:30 at night, from then going to a council meeting, there are times where I feel very frustrated. I either feel frustrated because either myself or other parents, they have said, hey, hi, I've emailed the administrator, and it could be any administrator, and they didn't get back to me. You never hear I emailed the teacher and they didn't get back to me, right? You never hear that. You always hear I emailed a administrator and they didn't get back to me. I've had that, and it's frustrating. I've actually even cried during school board meetings because it is frustrating. You want to be heard, and you not only think about your child, but you think about all the other children. And then if you think about, like, if I'm going through this, there has to be another parent that goes through this. But here's the thing. That parent is not there because maybe they can't be there, or maybe they don't know they can be there, or they don't know that they have a voice. So it's sometimes frustrating. It honestly is.
So if you were to win and be on the board, what could possibly be done to make it less frustrating for the parent that they're being heard? Is there anything that could be done?
Listen, you're full of good questions.
I've been there.
Keith better be worried about his seat, let me tell you. I feel like you're Barbara Walters. What could be done? Number one, I think the board, and here's the thing. What I'm about to say, I don't know if it does happen, right? I don't know if after the board meeting, there's somebody that says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Administrator, that Hendry woman, she asked you about X, or Mrs. Smith asked you about Y, and Mr. Walters asked you about X. Please make sure that this gets done. But something like that, where there is some sort of follow-up and accountability. So therefore, another month doesn't have to happen, and they say, hey, listen, I asked you a question, you didn't get back to me. It's kind of embarrassing. So I think that would help, where there is somebody to ensure that the process gets completed, that there is accountability, that, listen, we heard you, we see you, and somebody's going to get back to you, within the next 48 hours.
I know you as a person on the side of the parents, and you were questioning the school safety changes that were being made in the past year.
Yeah.
And they were some going in the wrong direction in your eyes. All right.
Yeah.
Do you feel Gloucester Township schools are a safe learning environment?
That's a flipping loaded question. My God. Do I think it's a safe learning environment?
You were just at a school dance.
I was at a school dance.
Did
yes.
you feel safe there?
We had some police officers there.
Not because of an incident, but prior, correct? There weren't police there for an issue.
No, they were already there. They were part of the chaperoning experience.
So it's part of like a decision made prior to the
Yes.
event.
I mean, last year when I was chaperoning, I don't recall that there was police officers in the gym. But at the most part, I would have to say, I feel safe and confident with my 3 boys attending school. Is there issues of code of conduct that can be, tighten it up a little bit? Absolutely. But as of right now, I think we are in that right direction. It takes the administration to ensure that the code of conduct is being followed to the T to ensure the safety of all the students and the teachers.
So if your kid could go anywhere in the state of New Jersey, you would keep them where they are?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we came from South Florida. That's where we lived before here. And my parents live in the Poconos, and my mom is a retired school teacher from Paterson, New Jersey. So I don't really know a lot of New Jersey, but I like it here. This is part of the reason why we bought a house here. The teachers are absolutely excellent. I have a child that reads on a 3rd grade reading level. His special education has been absolutely tremendous, and supportive. That's the reason why I wanted roots here, is because of the relationships that I have formed with parents, and also the education that I've received that my children have received.
So you're saying that the success of a school has bearing on whether or not you should live in that area.
Yeah.
And do you, as a candidate for school board, is there one thing that you can say Gloucester Township shines at? Like
Well, it's not those test scores. I can tell you that right now.
So what do you want? You want higher test scores?
I would love higher test scores. I would love.
Do you think the curriculum's rigorous enough?
I don't think we have a lot of time to talk about this. I will say this, and here's the thing. I don't know.
Because these are the decisions the school board member makes.
I don't know why we're on a block system, right? I don't know why we're on a block system. I can tell you when I went to school in the 90s, we had 8 periods. We always had science. We always had social studies. We always had gym. I think I turned out just fine. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room had operated in an 8-period block, right? We always had science. Science is key, right?
As a retired science teacher, I appreciate that.
But unfortunately, our science grades are slipping, right? Our science grades are slipping. Our ELA grades are slipping. And people can say that's due to COVID. COVID was 4 years ago, right? COVID was 4 years ago. And I understand that there is a sliding effect that comes along with it. But there's a reason, there has to be a reason why we don't have science every day. There has to be a good reason why we don't have gym every day.
You think they should have a science book?
They don't have a science book?
No. There's no science books in middle school. No.
No?
No, we have no science books. There's no material provided by the district to give to the children.
So everything is on the Chromebook?
Everything is whatever the teacher finds on in the internet. We don't provide science books.
And this is why Chip is retired.
But Chip was a good science teacher who had learned to live and adapt. But
wow. When did that change?
2003 was the last time the district bought a science book.
Shut the front door.
Now, we used those science books, but as they got old, they got trashed. We were told not to read in science. Do you think kids should read in science?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my, I'll tell it, Hunter, because everybody probably sees Hunter.
There's material at the elementary school.
So Hunter reads on a 3rd grade reading level, and in my opinion, his reading help should carry him to science. You know, if he's in Read 180 in reading and language arts, right, he should also be in some sort of program that helps him with that. So,
and that's the philosophy behind it. Don't make the struggling reader struggle in science.
Yeah.
If they're being merged all together for science. So you don't read in science. You do. We're actively engaging in science, like hands-on activities and things like that. Got it. But what's the shining? What would you say we're so good at in Gloucester Township?
In Gloucester Township public schools, what we are so good at is having a sense of community within that school. But I will say how we are so good at it is parents who volunteer their time in those parent groups. You know, it is that core 5, 7, maybe possibly 10 parents who are saying, all right, we're doing candy bar bingo. We're doing a reading pumpkin patch. We're doing this fundraiser and that fundraiser. And that is the reason why I wanted to buy a house here, is because there was a sense of community. And that social aspect, for me, you know, checks off a lot of boxes. I'm a very social person. And I think socially, that school experience can make or break it if you are not part of the community.
Excellent response.
Excellent. Well, Dina, so you got a few people that you were up against. What set you apart from them? Do you feel?
Besides my pink signs, what sets me apart? You know, this election cycle, there is 4 independent candidates. It is pretty cool to have 2 other parents who have children in the school system running. So that's really cool.
Are they here tonight?
I believe so.
Okay.
And for this election cycle, what sets me apart is that for the past 2.5 times, because I actually was one of the ones that was going for that seat when Grace went to council. I was one of the ones that interviewed.
When you went there.
I interviewed, and it was already, I had no idea, right? So I've done this 2.5 times. And I have been the bridesmaid all times and never the bride. I've gone to school board meetings since 2020. I haven't stopped, and excellent. I'm not afraid to answer or ask questions. And I'm not afraid to say, hey, listen, this doesn't sound right, and keep going and keep pressing on. And at the same time, I'm not afraid to put myself out there and say, hey, listen, I welcome questions. And I've answered some really hard questions, from the public on social media. Why? Because it's free, and I don't have the money for mailers and things like that. I barely had enough money for 100 signs. And I'm just willing to, if I'm asking for transparency, I'm going to give you transparency. So what sets me apart is that I'm willing to answer and put myself out there as much as possible and be accountable.
Awesome.
I kept the sign from last time because I knew she was coming back.
I wasn't.
We're gonna make her come back. No, we're gonna make her
But
come
the
back.
thing
so
is, she doesn't give up. She, like the other
No.
ones, they're on the ballot, and they've never been to a meeting, and B, they don't come even after they lose. Like, who was that mystery?
Oh, we've had in our
Or
township.
even if they lost their seat in their school board, they've said in their goodbye speeches, you won't see the last of me. I'll be back, but they haven't. Does it suck to lose? Absolutely. But at the same time, as I said, win or lose, I'm still going to be at a school board meeting. It's just a matter of what side of the table am I sitting on.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, Dina, thank you so much for sitting down with us. And anything else that you need to add, or
No, I'm good.
you good? All right. Thank you so much. And
Thank
Chip,
Sure.
excellent questions there, man. That's
Well, I know Dina from the sitting in the safe side.
gotcha. So next up is Mr. Joe Tersey.
Joe.
We've got for those folks that are not have no idea what's going on in the background. We got another room of people in the back here that are waiting. They're watching the podcast live on a TV back there too. So next up here is Joe Tersey. So I'm gonna turn it over to Joe, and Joe, you can tell us a bit about yourself.
No, thank you. So my name is Joe Tersey. We moved to Gloucester Township in 2021. We previously lived in Sicklerville and Winslow Township side with my wife, Andrea. We have 5 children, all 7 and under. So I'm going to jump ahead with one of the questions. Part of our motivation, or me and my wife's conversation of motivation behind why running, is for, my kids are going to be in the same school for the next 10 years. I mean, I want to know where my money's going. I want to know how it's being used. I want to know how my kids are learning. So being involved in some fashion, and how Dina mentioned it too, whether win or lose, still involved, still go to PTO meetings, still help with the kids and volunteer where you can. There's got too many kids to not want to know what's happening.
Gotcha.
What school would they go to?
They're at Union Valley right now.
Union Valley?
Yeah, I have 2 in there now. I have one that's in first grade and one that's in kindergarten. And then my other 3 are like 2 years behind because they're 3 years old, 2 years old, and 8 months.
So beside a PTO meeting, have you ever been to a school board meeting?
Yeah, I've been to board meetings as well.
And what motivated you to go to a board meeting? Because
Curiosity.
I have 4 kids, and I never would have stepped foot in a board meeting.
It was curiosity.
Is it curiosity, or did you feel intimidated?
I mean, just to listen. I like to hear. I like people to talk, so I can hear what's happening. I like the whole concept of the fly on the wall that people kind of over-explain, so I can understand more of what's happening. I personally think going to board meetings, I think the intimidating part about the board meeting is what the heck are they talking about? They start rambling and going through their agendas, They didn't give us a opening on what the agenda or how the agenda worked. What do the numbers mean? What check numbers are you approving? Why are you approving said check numbers? What it's attached to? Why we spent it? Explain.
Some for millions of dollars.
Right. Just want to know why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they do provide a checklist number, but you have
do.
no.
They go so fast.
Well, they know what they're approving and not approving, but because the money's been spent.
Yeah.
But the Black Horse Pike does not give you any of that. It's total. If you ever been to a Black Horse Pike, by the way, if you don't know, in Gloucester Township we have two distinct separate school boards, and you pay two different taxes. Some people, my neighbor moved from North Jersey down and said, "Where do I live? Am I in Gloucester Township?" Or like there's seven. Like you're on the, you get that question on the Winslow side of Sicklerville, on the Gloucester Township side of Sickler. How can there be two towns with one name? And are we in Gloucester County because we're in Gloucester Township? Are we in this because we're in this? So people who are moving here don't know where they belong or what school their child should even go to. Did you know what school your children will be attending?
No, not at all. I mean, we just knew that our neighborhood that we found just made sense as our family was growing, and you know, heard positive things once we got or looked in that area about the township and everything, and just it was the right move at that time in our lives. So just learning, we just learn, make it make sense somewhere.
Yeah, I get the I get the learning part because it's always a big challenge for people to go to council meetings, because a lot of these folks here go to board meetings.
But they have to know they can. Some people don't know. If you don't have children,
Yeah.
and you don't know you can attend a school board meeting because your kid isn't in school. But every voting person in Gloucester Township could go to the meeting. You don't have to have children.
There's
people running on the school board that don't have children. And then you're like, well, why? Well, they used to have children at the district, or they've never had children, and they're being put up on the school board, and they're like, what?
So to go into your point with that, I think that having people that are on the board that have had experience for so long and been doing it, there's always a value, but you need to have a nice, better mix of parents that have kids still, as well as some that have been experienced, because there's still value. You're still going to learn. I mean, you said you're retired?
Yeah, yes.
Right? There's a value behind having that expertise, but I think there needs to be a few that maybe don't have kids and more parents that do have kids to be able to have that voice heard. It's all about being heard. I mean, I think if your kids are heard and they're getting what they need, it also return comes back to what the teachers need, and the teachers get what they need to have for you guys to be able to succeed. You're raising our kids in a sense.
But the parents need to know they have a voice, and they have to be able to say, lean on you, candidate, that says, I could talk to a person who's, my child's in second grade, and this person's on the school board, and they find out, oh, I didn't know this was being taught in second grade or whatever.
How well is it communicated that our council meetings are not really well communicated that they're even happening? They happen twice a month. They're not. Other towns advertise them on their electronic bulletin boards and stuff like that. School boards are they?
Well, they acknowledge the children in that region. So if it's at Mullen, the Mullen Star students and the elementaries that feed into that. So you'll get like 80 family members getting recognized for accomplishing something in that 3 months, and they come, and then once they take the picture, whoop, they all leave, and there's like 3 people left. And like you said, why do I care if they're going to pay the phone bill or not? But it's their tax dollars going to it. So it's refreshing to hear a school board candidate having children that are physically in the school right now. Kudos to you. But do you realize how much time this non-paid job's going to take?
Yeah, I mean,
it's just not 1 hour.
Can't assume, right? Because I'm not in there. The same way as I wouldn't want to pretend to know everything that's going to happen. There's going to be plenty of things that I'm not familiar, and there's always a learning curve. But I mean, learning is knowledge, and that's the whole purpose behind it, right? To better and grow our community and our young people and everything. And if at the end of the day, if nothing else, if I'm able to learn something that I can pass on to somebody else, or somebody tells me something that I wasn't aware of, to be able to bring that to the attention, potentially at the board meetings or being a member of it, then I've achieved something.
You do realize you don't speak for yourself. You have to speak for the whole board at that time. You know what I mean? You can't say, we're going to do this as a board by yourself saying that comment. You have to, okay.
Just having the voice, at least they get to hear the opposed perspective is all it comes down to. Because again, like you said, if it's a board, it's not one person. But if your statement helps them also think differently and say, oh, I didn't think of that before, I see where you're coming from, hopefully it causes some kind of change in some positive way.
Yeah,
So-
or at least sparks conversation that will eventually down the road lead some change, I think.
And National School Board Association, if you're elected, offers classes on how you can become more effective as a board
I
member.
went to that one meeting they had where they showed us everything. They broke down the classes and the courses you have to take. and
Would you consider doing any of them? Because they're basically volunteer. You don't have to do them.
I mean, I would say I have 5 kids, so obviously if the timing works out and it makes sense and I can get away, then absolutely it would help and better everything, because the more that I know, the better that I can be to help others with what I'm doing.
You're singing to me. That's what I want to hear. You know?
As soon as he said 5 kids, I'm like, I can't believe you made it here tonight.
5 kids under what? Under 7?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to get your tax dollars.
Yeah, yes, sir. Absolutely.
What do you think about that? So if the sewer sells and the township doesn't increase your taxes, that translates into, well, then the school board has to decrease their taxes. Don't you think that's going to happen? Yeah, the township doesn't increase taxes. Doesn't mean the school board's not going to increase taxes.
Oh, right, because when
Their little flyer says,
when they talk about tax freezes, that does not include fire, school, state. It
But-
only includes the municipal tax, which is around 30%.
but Joe Schmo senior citizen doesn't read it that way.
Nobody knows that other than a few of us that have kind of.
But
done
you
it.
have to
Yeah.
bring light to that. So they're forcing the sewer thing, saying no taxes, where the school board's going to have to raise taxes,
Yeah, so I mean I guess.
and that's going to be thrown onto your lap as a counterbalance with their proposal.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Uh,
we have done a good job of communicating that over the last year so that it is easier on some of the folks that are still going to have to hit. They're still going to have to take those hits. Another question that I guess I would have. So you're up against quite a few people. I guess there's what is it? It's three people that are leaving. That are up for re-election, and then there's
But only 2 are on the ballot.
7 people running.
Seven
Seven
total.
people running.
7 total running. 2 are running for re-election.
okay.
I have a problem with that ballot design because we are 2 different school boards. It should be 1, 2, 3, and then start again.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Not start at 4
Yeah.
and go down, because it sounds
Yeah.
like we're one school system, and we're not. We're 2 separate entities.
Absolutely.
So it would make, I guess, if somebody said, all right, win me over the other candidates, I guess what do you think would make you stand out among the other candidates?
So, to be fair, I don't know the other candidates enough to
Okay.
say what I would be better or what they're not good at, because I don't know them and I would never want to pass judgment. That's not how I would function. I would just say the way that I operate, I'm an easy person. 1 + 1 = 2. Just help me understand and see what that looks like, and have the conversation, and let's see what that transparency is as we go through these questions and dig in and ask. I mean, hearing parents say, "Oh, I haven't gotten phone calls back. I've reached out 6, 7, 8, 9 times." Why? There's got to be a why.
Right.
Why are you not answering? Explain why we're not getting these responses. Or if somebody asks a question that we can't answer, well, who is holding them accountable, and why can't we have this just some kind of response? Show me where it's written within the policies that the superintendent has to follow. Where does it state that this and this cannot be done here and here versus it can be done somewhere else? Make it where everybody can read it. It has to be written down somewhere. They don't just post things throughout the Gloucester Township. I think I saw it. It was about like attendance policy. They quote the state of New Jersey policy based off of NJ, whatever the numbers are, for you to go back and reference that. So anything that they determine, they should have a place that we can reference to be able to go back and look. And if you don't have it, well, then we have a whole other set of questions, and I think other things should be happening.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Well, that's all I've got. That's all I've got for you, Joe. It's been a great meeting you tonight.
5 kids, you better get home.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming out. It was we've attempted to do things like this before, and we're like, nah, nobody's going to show up. So I'm really happy that we got people that wanted to show up. I was happy to see that there are, we have 4 candidates here tonight. So
We should have them all. They all should be here to find out.
We can go back to being able to have a way for us to have meet and greets and such. I think outside of these, whether it's at the school. I know some people like the idea of doing it at the school. I know they voted against
Yeah.
that last year.
They voted against
Yeah, they
it.
did.
Why
No,
did
we
the
talked
school
about
board
it.
vote against
I mean,
finding out about the
And
candidates?
they had their two-part reasons, but I think there's also an explainable one that the bigger one that I
Whoa,
heard.
whoa! Enlighten me. What's the two-part
Well,
reason?
so one was they're keeping politics as a whole, and they consider any kind of election and voting political. These are just, again, this is in my opinions. These are the answers that we were told, as well as if you have the meet and greet at one particular school and you happen to have your child at that school, you have an unfair advantage. Was another statement that was said. I personally think there's 11 schools, right? I think correct.
Yeah,
There's 11.
there are.
So we have 7. There's just a few extra schools outside of that number. Do it at a school where nobody's attached to, so you don't have that issue. So again,
Oh,
that's
good
just,
point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
why not have it in one of those, and you can still have that opportunity. So there's ways to.
Even if they had it at the schools, they still won't show up. They all 7 candidates, they will still think it's in the bag, and they don't have to run for an election.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Well,
thanks, guys.
thank you so much,
Appreciate
Joe.
that's just my opinion.
Next up is Mark.
Yeah, notice you didn't say his last name.
I didn't. I just. Mark, welcome.
Terrero.
Terrero, right?
Yes. you
Terrero.
got it. Nailed it.
So Mark,
Only
Mark,
because he told me the secret.
tell the
Got a booster seat for me?
I know. Hit the button on the bottom. I sank in the chair.
Mark. I guess give the folks some idea who you are.
Yes, Mark Torrero. Been a Gloucester Township resident now for, I think, almost about 10 years now. I'm from across the bridge, Westchester, Pennsylvania here. So I have a daughter who's just starting kindergarten, so first-year parent into the public school system. And I have a 3-year-old son who's shortly going to be following suit. So just a vested parent here who's concerned, what's going on in the school districts and how they're spending their money, and what's going on in the classrooms and all that stuff. So yeah, it's keep it short and sweet that way, I guess.
So a 3-year-old, is your child involved currently in the preschool system?
Unfortunately not. So that's the topic of a conversation that's come up in my community, in my neighborhood where we live. A lot of kids that are 3-4 years old getting ready to enter school for the first time and not having availability for pre-K in Gloucester Township is pretty concerning, especially how big the district is.
Oh, they have
Schools.
tons of new preschool system
Okay.
in the past 5 years.
Okay, but I guess with the lottery system and how it works out, my daughter for pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 and older was like number 130 on the waiting list, and last year was like 165, and then my son Jack, like similar. So it's just concerning a little bit, when you have an opportunity for your kids to join a public school and not have to pay for it. If you want to go to a Catholic school, that's the alternate. Not everybody has the funds for that. I think that's something else that needs to be kind of taken a look at, a little broader spectrum, and make it a little more availability. And especially if they're talking about adding more houses to the community, that means more kids and maybe more kids left behind. So that's something raises concern for sure.
So you would be a advocate for the increasing the preschool program?
Yeah, I think there could be opportunity there. I don't know exactly the situation is, but I hear there's not enough room or whatever the case is, or the budgeting. You hear different types of answers. So, being on the board, getting that side of it, I think is important. And seeing that side and where they're coming from, and maybe making some availability if we can do that. But yeah, I think that's something that's really important, especially for younger kids who are ready to start their education.
Interesting. That was interesting. Now you came from across the bridge.
Across the bridge.
So did you have a sense of community when you came into Gloucester Township, or were you one of those, where do I live? Am I in Gloucester Township? Am I in what?
Yeah. So,
where are you, Sickler?
Yeah, I'm in Gloucester Township. It's right by the GT police station, right behind the shop, right off Juice Landing Road. So Cameron Circle,
Okay.
not too far.
Oh, Cameron.
Yeah,
sorry.
so right like the heart, I call it the heart, Gloucester Township basically. But when I moved here, my wife's from Runnymede. She's an educator also, and I relied on her. She knows the school systems in the area. I trusted her with, where are we going to live when we have kids and things like that. And it was Gloucester Township was, where she wanted to go because she knows some of the teachers. and how great the school district is too. So, having that support from her and her knowledge, helped make that decision easier. Moving into our neighborhood, definitely made it more feel like home, especially, seeing how everybody is active, for the most part with the sports and stuff that goes on in the community with GT Day and stuff like that. Reminds me a lot where I grew up. It's very similar, close-knit neighborhood. The township, I feel, is somewhat the same. And especially now, after being here for like almost 10 years, I feel like the past 2 or 3 years having kids getting ready to go into school, you can kind of see the community involved, and some parents that are, that want to be involved, that are afraid to. And
Why?
having that
Why?
voice.
What do you mean by that? Afraid to?
I think it's, they're afraid to share their voice maybe, or they're intimidated by, those that are on the board already, whether it's, uncomfortable or just feeling that their voice is not going to be heard or pushed aside. And hopefully I can help, those parents, being, a parent with a child in the school district, help share that voice.
But you're hitting on that security thing. How do you feel living in Cameron Circle? I mean, you're right behind the police station.
Yeah.
But do you feel this is a safe community?
I think it's a safe community for the most part. I mean, I think there's riffraff that happens everywhere, no matter where you go. And I think it's, as long as it's monitored and neighbors are active, if they see something, say something. It's as long as everybody trusts each other, I think that's the key part. And you have the police station and the police officers, they're great in our community. I mean, they drive by, they wave, they say hi. They're very friendly, they're very approachable. I have not met one officer that hasn't been, you can't approach them. So yeah, I feel safe. I don't know from experience with schools and things like that. Obviously, first time parent, but at my own home currently, yeah, I definitely feel safe. In this community.
Your wife's the teacher?
Yes.
What
she
grade?
is.
What grade?
So she's special ed, and she's in the Runnymede School District. So she's kindergarten up to the 3rd or 4th grade. So she's got a small group of kids that she gets every year, that she helps, with math, reading, and all that stuff. So special ed, especially in our house, hits close to home for us because of how involved she is with those kids in that community.
So you have a wife that's a teacher. You want to be on the school board. What do you say to the parent or what can we do for the children in the school that don't have that pro-education mentality?
It's.
How do we reach them?
I think
There are kids that go through school that don't have that parental support at home.
That's a hard question to ask or answer. I think if relying on other support, whether it's within your own household or other family members or the teacher's administration, I think if there's open form communication throughout that, and parents know, hey, if I'm not understanding this or if I'm not able to be a part of this, there is other support system there. And I think if there's more vocalization of that, especially within the community, within administration and teachers, and other family members, obviously as well, that takes place. But I think it starts at home, and then the parents have to be responsible and have accountability on their end as well to, either push their kids to make sure, hey, it's okay, it's okay to be afraid, or I'm afraid too. My daughter going to kindergarten, putting her on the bus, like, hey, it's okay to be afraid. We're here, and there's other support system here. So I think having trust in those parents that may not feel comfortable with that, knowing that there could be something for them available within the community admin, can help.
Here's a question:
Right.
What grade's your child in?
She's in kindergarten.
Oh, so
I'm fresh blood.
You're fresh blood. So here's my take on it, because you obviously went through school and everything.
Yeah.
How do you feel that Gloucester Township will not print a report card ever? If you as a parent don't log on to the portal, you can never see your child's grades.
Wow. Man.
Yeah, now learning that for the first time, because we're looking at progress reports and see where she's going to be for the first year, and not having that piece of paper I had to bring it home. Your teacher would hand it to you and say, bring this home to mom and dad. You either sign it, or whatever it is. So not having that piece of paper, I think is
The administration's viewpoint on it is we are going paperless, going green, and your bank statements are now online.
Yeah.
So is your report card. Not to that little 6-year-old child walking home and saying, "Mommy, I got straight A's," or "Look at how good I'm doing," and they have a sense of pride.
Right.
Removing that piece of paper from that child's hands, and then if you have a parent that's not logging onto the portal and don't know their kid has been failing for the past 3 market periods, you don't get it. Like, my bank statement comes up. If I want to view it, I can click view.
Right.
No, this is log onto the portal, find the tab, pull down the tab, print it. You have to print it before the market period ends or it disappears. So, like, you don't have a record of your child's success story. Your child's in kindergarten. How do you feel? The kids love that their parents don't know how to get onto the portal.
Of course. Especially, I mean, I was kind of one of those students, back in the day. But,
Right, I would love to pull it from my
But if
parents.
especially like my daughter, I know she's very proud of like her artwork and all that stuff. And when she comes home, she does want to show it off. So I think it's definitely important.
If
Having
they want
that
to
piece
show
of
off their
paper,
work. They
yeah.
want to show off their progress.
Their studies, yes, exactly. You want to see how they're doing, and maybe not every parent has access, though they can access the portal or whatever the case is. Maybe not be able to, they don't read the fine print or they don't read all the stuff that comes home from school. How do you have to prepare for the school district? So, yeah, I think having that piece of paper coming home is certainly important, especially for the younger kids too, because I think that helps raise their awareness of how they're doing, and it builds their what's the word I'm looking for?
Self-esteem.
Their self-esteem. Yes, exactly. And having them be aware of that. Hey, I'm doing great in school.
I still have all my report cards. I
It's
still
amazing.
have a box with
I'm
all
sure my
my
mom probably has mine too, even the bad ones. Too. There's probably more of those than
my
good
kids,
ones. But
my kids are out of college and they want to see my report cards.
it's important. I think it's definitely important, and the piece of paper, no matter what it is definitely important. That's a strong communication piece as well, rather than just log on to a portal and you just see this. And if it goes away, if you don't if that's what you're just saying, it goes away if they don't log on or if they don't print it out.
The next year,
It just-
like if you
okay.
go on to 6th grade, your 5th grade report card disappears.
They could make it so you could keep it in a queue or keep it in a history, but not every parent's going to print that out. For the most part, it's digital. But I think the piece of paper coming home is 100%. It's important.
I know I stood up at a school board meeting and fought for it, and they thought I was a middle school teacher would be out of line saying that. They thought it was more of an elementary. I think middle school kids too, because they want to hide. They don't want their parents to know
Right.
everything they're doing. This is a way to hide it. But it's just, that was a pet peeve of mine at a school board meeting.
Would it
But
be weird to think that maybe a teacher, a middle school teacher, that has that there's a new child into the middle school, that would have access to maybe what they had in the grade before, to see if they kind of went off a cliff at some point? I mean, would that stand? I think to me that almost just makes sense.
Their philosophy is you want every kid in September to start with a fresh start. So I don't say, oh, this kid's coming up with D's and F's. I got this kid. You know what I mean? That child or whatever. You know what I mean? He's
Right.
going to be. You give everybody a clean slate, and
Okay.
that's the take as a teacher. I don't want to prejudge you because you didn't work because you had a personality conflict or your parents went through a divorce in 5th grade. I know nothing of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There are home situations that find out until you have to. You know what I mean?
And it could be, not to interrupt you, but it could be a way to develop a child too. Like, hey, you struggled here in this area last year. Regardless of what happened at home or whatever the case may be, this could be a starting point of a fresh start. But here, we can improve on this year. How can we improve on this together as a teacher and the student and the parent, and getting all involved? And you hit it. It's perfect.
The three of you, it's amazing because you're in 3 different sections of Gloucester Township. So you're targeting, ironically, if the 3 of you should win, we would have people from one area and another area and another area.
That's awesome.
And I don't know what the other 4 where they live. I don't know.
I have one that lives down the street from me. I won't mention any names, but
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Lauren Fleming?
I'm not sure where his kids go. I know he has kids that are older.
Older.
But,
Okay.
But they're in the school district. But there's one.
There is one on the 7 that have children in the school system, and they didn't come tonight?
Not everybody. Not everybody finds this the most welcoming podcast.
Really?
Now we're critical. We're critical of when people don't want to talk. and come out and be open with the public unless they're behind some desk or some podium or something like that. They just have open discussions. Yeah, we're critical of those people, and
You hold everybody accountable.
yeah,
I like that.
that's kind of what we've been doing now for 4 years now. We've been doing this, so
Because when I ran I was a teacher at the middle school, but I ran at the high school because it's a separate system, and I couldn't afford signs and all that. So when you see the glossy signs for a position you're not being paid for, that's a red flag to me.
Oh, you get them in the mail too. It's
Oh, how many
yeah.
flyers can you get in one day?
Yeah, exactly. And it's concerning because
So they
I'm not going to speak on behalf of that parents. I know they have children in the school district, so you can't knock on that, and they're vested, and I like that. So, in my opinion, if you're a parent and you have kids in the school district, that should be your reason why, not just for your child, but for the other children involved. And that's your vested interest. And if you don't have that, I mean, what are you getting at? What's your bottom line? No pun intended.
You do, but you do know it's a non-paid position.
Yeah.
You do know it's more than 1 hour meeting a month.
Yeah.
It's behind the scene meeting and research and you get put on policy so you do know it's going to involve some time.
Yes, definitely, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. Learning, about what's going on and being behind the scenes and really getting, both sides of the story and hearing the full story. I think that definitely helped bring clarity, to exactly what's going on. And that's kind of where I want to be. I want to know, what's going on.
Is there one thing that maybe you did in Pennsylvania when you were in school that you say, hey, why aren't we doing it here in New Jersey?
I mean, the school districts are so different in how they're run, and they're the same but different. Not really. I think it's all kind of similar. I think for the most part, everyone's had a similar experience. I would say it's the same. From what I went through school, in Westchester.
Is there something you wish was changed in Gloucester Township? Is there one little nugget that you're like, why are we doing this way?
I mean, if you're talking about the school board and all that stuff, I couldn't really answer that question honestly, until I know, exactly, what's going on. The only thing I guess I wish that was more, known or available is just, where they spend the money and just being more open with that. Just kind of, you get the packet when you're at the board meeting, but I read it, it's like reading hieroglyphics. I don't know what I'm looking at, where the dollars are being spent and all that stuff. So I think that would be probably the one thing. I make that more public and just more clarity, on as far as where the spending's going and how it's being applied, and is it going to affect, how's it going to positively affect or negatively affect, the kids in the school district and admin.
Quick question: If you shouldn't make it, would you continue fighting this hard?
Yeah. I mean, I'm vested. I mean, I have, like I said, I have a daughter. It's kindergarten now, and if I didn't make it this time, I would definitely keep going to board meetings, be more attentive towards that. I'm a parent, so a lot of times when there's the board meetings, I have dance class or something else going on, so it's kind of hard to be everywhere at one place. So, but I would definitely be more attentive towards that if I didn't, and just making sure my voice is still being heard, and try to hold people accountable as well.
So you have attended board meetings prior to running.
Yeah, I went to a couple just to experience it and kind of see faces and what's going on and how everybody communicates.
Because that does, as I'm a GT citizen, I can sit there as well. And as a teacher, I sat there as well. And they're like, what are you doing here? And it's like, this affects me directly. Why shouldn't I be there?
Right.
And then people thought I was the squeaky wheel kind of thing, because you get perceived as that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's their opinion. So, you know why you're there, and you're there for the right reasons, and the same thing, that would be for the right reasons, and just making sure, we're at least doing everything we can.
That sounds so refreshing. You're there for the right reasons. That line right there should be your tagline for you.
I hope that. Well, I hope the three of you folks that I talked to today, I really like talking to you guys, and if not all of you get on, I hope you guys stick around. And we will. My only regret about doing this podcast is that we didn't do it months ago.
Before mailing ballots?
60 million people in the country have already voted.
Not me. I vote on election day
same,
at the town,
but
up at town hall.
But
That's probably where we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll see you up there.
Last minute, if if there's some undecideds out there, and school is one of those things where I'll admit I've gone and just checked some boxes off because I didn't know. So if you are one of those people and you're watching right now, you've just met 3 people that were willing to talk to you.
And the bonus is you can vote for 3.
You can vote for 3.
There you go.
And
So-
and this is what I think is confusing to Joe Schmo public that doesn't know it's 2 school boards. They think from 1 to 9, they think they can vote for 3. And the layout of the ballot is confusing.
My first time voting, that caught me. I didn't. 'Cause you have to read it and you have to look at it.
If you're from Pennsylvania and they have a K to 12 system, it would be 3
Yep.
total. But because we have a pre-K to 8 and then a 9 to 12, we have it's a different ball of wax.
Yes.
So the numbers should start 1, 2, 3, and then again 1, 2,
down.
3, 4, 5. I have a problem with the setup, but I don't know who to.
I didn't ask the rest of the folks, but what number are you on the ballot?
I'm number 10, Mark Torero. Yes, the last one, I believe, right on the bottom.
They
Yes.
saved the best for last.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, Mark, I appreciate anything else you wanted to add.
Hey, I'm just a parent, just like everybody else. I'm vested. I'm here for the right reasons, and with me, like I said, I went the whole story, and I'll be very diplomatic, as you could say, as far as if I get that seat.
And
Excellent.
the general public should know that every school board member has a school email account. They get one.
Yeah.
So, like, you could personally email a school board member or this, and some people don't know that.
Oh, there you go.
So that's how people
I
can.
will answer.
Right, that's what it would be. You would have to answer.
I will answer. Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the 3 of you that have come out and talked to us, and I hope that we've turned some people on to you. So thank you again.
Thank you
again
guys
for coming out.
So
Chip,
let's do
that
the
was-
3 numbers that came. He's 10. What's the other 2? 5.
5
5 is Dina.
and
4
4.
is Joe. Joe is 4. So 4, 5, 10 came today.
4, 5, 10.
All right.
4, 5, and 10 came today.
And you can vote for 3.
Yeah, you can vote for 3. So if you liked all 3, have at it, and then we'll have. If all 3 get in, I would love to see that. I would love to see a discussion. I think we had 3 people here. We've got some good people on school board already. I would really like to see what the discussion turns into. Chip, you have been excellent tonight. Thank you so much. It's
Tina
a
thought my questions were too hard.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Who knew what I was going to ask? That's how I am at a school board meeting too, by the way.
Subscribe to our podcast, Chip. If you
Yeah, now
haven't.
I have to subscribe.
And, for you folks
Are
at
these
home.
recorded or they're only live?
No, they're usually recorded for council meetings. I did this live because we're coming up on election day here. I didn't want to wait until next week to throw this out there. So
All right. Thanks, Sue. Thank you.
next
everybody.
up, folks,
Here, okay, Keith, have your seat back.
is we've got. Next up, we're going to do our council meeting, not council meeting recap. We did that already.
Crap! You gotta call the fire department. This chair is on fire here.
We
Ooh,
have.
but you got a fan out here.
Yeah, get me that fan back. Holy moly!
We have a council candidate. We invited 2 council candidates. We got one. And if you are excited to meet Miss Helen Albright Troxel, you are going to be disappointed.
Yes,
But
you
we
were.
do have, she is off probably peddling your sewer somewhere, I guess. And got an individual here who would not have sold your sewer, he says. And Tim, ladies and gentlemen, I present Tim Pfeffer to you. Tim, tell
Drum
us
roll.
who you are.
Well, thank you both for having me. My name is Tim Pfeffer. I'm running for Gloucester Township Council. It's a special election that's created from the vacancy of Dan Hutchinson's seat. My wife and I have been a resident of Gloucester Township for 27 years. I just, over the past couple of years, if the name sounds familiar, I ran last year for council with Joe D'Amico, Joe Allen, Ray Henry, and myself. Unfortunately, we weren't successful in that bid, but I felt compelled to basically throw my name back in the hat for this election because it is a special election to give the people of Gloucester Township a better voice.
Yeah,
I think-
I'm sorry to interrupt
go,
you.
no, go ahead.
No, so this is an interesting one, right? Because it's only for 1 year.
Correct.
Because of it could have gone a different way. Is that correct? Or how that?
From what I understand, it's a special election because when Dan Hutchinson won state assembly, his seat became vacant for over a year. Council could have had I believe, I could be wrong on this, but council could have had a special election this June,
Right,
to fill
right.
that seat. But
That's
I think
what I was
with
saying,
the sale
yeah.
of the MUA came into play, so maybe that's why they just waited for this November.
Yeah.
So technically, if I'm only running for a 1 year council seat right now,
Correct, right.
not the current level that council seats are 3 years.
4.
But that
Four.
but that seat is also up next year, so
Next-
you'll be rerunning again as an incumbent almost, but as only filling the 1 year term. So
Correct.
you have a really long battle ahead of yourselves here. Like I don't know, you really
He
signed up.
doesn't even
for
get a break. He just
Yeah,
yeah.
you're
I went from last year to
nonstop.
this year to next year. So I mean, it's and next year I believe it's 3 council seats and the mayor is up for election.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I just basically wanted to throw basically give the voters of Gloucester Township an opportunity to have someone to say. I just felt that my attention to detail with my work experience and dealing with different clients in construction, that I want to ask questions.
Yeah.
You could see my
Well, you're the
my
number-
hair has I'm much younger than I actually look, but
Yeah.
I still ask questions to this day because I don't know all the answers, and I'm not afraid to ask questions. And I think sometimes questions just need to be asked because you just have to. I just want to be an advocate for the people of Gloucester Township.
And you're the numbers guy of the construction, right? So you're the guy analyzing all the beams.
Well, I mean,
that go
I've worked
behind
with
it.
budgets and so forth. So
Right.
I mean, I've worked with different clients, and yeah, we have, our schedules and budgets have to, every project has a schedule. It has a budget. There's certain projects, depending on if it's, there could be fees associated with it if you go past a certain deadline and so forth. So there's actual fees, penalties if you want to call it that. But I just think that being able to represent the people of Gloucester Township is all what I can do, and to be honest of what I am, and
Well,
to give the voice.
I commend you for running, especially in this particular election where you only have that 1 year, I'll call it guarantee or whatever, that you're running for that 1 year office, because it's a lot to go up against this big machine here that is in Gloucester Township.
Mm-hmm.
And again, all my words are my own words and not that of any boards I may be on, but this is not an easy town to go do that, and to throw your name out there as throw my hat, my name out there as like what you were saying. They like to pull up dirt. And you're probably one of the most squeaky clean people that I know. I mean,
I know. Yeah.
I think the FBI is on them because they're like, there's something about that guy that we don't know and we need to know, but you know him, and
I have been fingerprinted by the FBI, but that was because I had security clearance for certain plants.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I am
Just
fingerprinted,
checking.
but it's not. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything illegal, but I needed access to unescorted access to certain power plants that I worked at, and that was part of the requirement of getting fingerprint.
Gotcha.
So you said how long you've been a resident here?
I've been a resident for 27 years.
Just moved here. Just moved here.
Just moved here.
27 years. Just moved here 27
My
years.
wife's home unpacking right now. I wanted to get involved right away. Actually, his wife is actually here. She's managing his campaign.
Oh, my name's Chip.
Oh, wrong guy. Yes, wrong guy.
There you go. Hey, that's me.
But yeah.
Thanks.
And,
The green room over there popped in. Sorry.
And to be honest, I'm kind of a yes. This is, other than last year run for council, this is like my first time getting involved with this level of elections. It's a fascinating background, just even at the local level. Just didn't realize all the
Intricacies.
yeah, thank you. I do get a little tongue tied a little bit. So
Yeah, it's the lights.
yes.
It happens every week to me. I can't complete a sentence. I'm like,
usually you fall asleep every week.
well,
Well, there's a lot of
do
times
that
I can't
too.
get the brain working with the tongue sometimes either.
late.
But it's just it is fascinating being in this a little bit, and I do enjoy it. So I mean, would I run again? It's
We don't need you to run again. We need you to run this time.
well, I have
and
to win
win.
next year if I win. So I mean, it's
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you
Okay,
know,
I'm
Look,
sorry.
Now-
if you win next year, then I suppose it's on the rest of the committee, which I'm a member of, to find you some great people to keep you around, to make you want to stick around for the next one. Pair you up with 2 other council folks and a mayor. So
Yeah, you got a long battle ahead of you there.
We just, you know what, you just take one day at a time, and you just, you know, do the best that you can. And that's, you know, that's all I can do is offer my honesty, my dedication, the attention to detail, you know, asking questions. You know, I just want to ask the people of Gloucester Township to give me an opportunity to represent them. You know, to give them a voice. Maybe the voice was there at one time, to be an advocate for their voice. Maybe it was there at one time, and maybe it's kind of dissipated over the years. Running for a council, it's again, even last year when I ran for council, it was just interesting of all the intricacies of what goes on with a campaign. Yes, people are put their name out there. You know, you give Dina and Mark and Joe credit for stepping out. You know, anyone that steps up into a political thing. It's kind of the same thing with any activity, whether it's sports or people get involved with being coaches or referees or any of that stuff. You know, everybody has a life and everybody has their own responsibilities to their own family. Sometimes people just feel that it's the need of the town is more important, and you got to put your own personal interests aside. And
I mean, everyone's different, right? And there are certain people, like, that it doesn't matter what I want to do. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. It's, and look, we all have our own opinion of what's right, what's wrong, or whatever else. And I'm not trying to bash anybody else out there. And we've said this before on this podcast many times. There are good things that they do, but there's not everything that we agree with, and we can. That's what makes America great, right? We can all go out, and I think this is how things should be done. I think you're doing this incorrectly. I think you're doing that incorrectly. So like one of the things that's on the hot topic button this year on the ballot is the sale of the sewer system, right? Mm-hmm. And I know Joe and I here, and basically everybody at GT Observer thinks that was a bad idea. Like, what are your thoughts around that whole topic there with the sale of sewer?
My thoughts on that are I would not have voted for it, and that's not a Monday morning quarterbacking thing. I wouldn't have voted for it in the first place.
Right.
Unfortunately, they say that they're paying off the debt. I mean, I heard earlier that the debt was being. So is the entire debt being paid off, or a portion of the debt being paid off? But I don't have those numbers to really give examples or true numbers on that, because I wasn't part of those conversations. Right. I don't have any that that background information to decide to say whether it was not. I think with my experience and with my work history is that I'm willing to listen to both sides, because not everybody's going to have the right answer. And sometimes you may have to listen to the other side just to see why you're doing something. But it doesn't seem.
Yeah,
the way
I think my question
it would just seem it seemed a little backdoorish, if that sounds right.
Yeah, I think what my question was leading up to getting us to the point of being in the position to have to sell our sewer, like all the wasteful spending up until that point to get us to be that much in debt.
Yeah, it didn't come up.
I don't know.
Well, it didn't come up by surprise. Like, we've all
I probably didn't word anything correctly of what I was saying. But
we've all watched it. We've all watched it, and we've got more uncomfortable every year. And now all of a sudden they say, we got to do something about this.
Right.
Well, I kind of feel like if we had discussions before, and if we had people, like if Tim were on and Tim could bring up discussions, it may spark other discussions, and then may get people in the crowd asking questions or people at home asking more questions. And I think that's just what we need. We need more discussion. We don't need people that will vote no on everything. But we do need people that are going to just question it. And then, the problem right now is nobody asks any questions. So it always seems like the folks that disagree out in the crowd are just wrong.
No, yeah, and
right?
I'm not trying to take over. I know this is his time here, but there's, and I've heard it from other other people in the past, there are questions that are asked that are not in public, that we can't just assume that they're not asked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From a school board, like a position that that we're up here, and it's very frustrating. Again, these are my own words, not opinion of anyone else. It's very frustrating to know what someone's thinking, like just hearing things that are said, and you can't answer because you can't disclose certain information. You know what I mean? That leads you to is leading the public to a position of like, I don't trust you. You didn't ask questions, kind of thing. So you can't assume in all those scenarios that questions weren't asked. However, after questions are asked, the outcomes of them should be able to be explained, if that makes any sense. Like, if you vote no, like Tim was saying, he would, if he understood the both things, he would vote no against it. That's the outcome of the questions being asked. It's not the appearance of, just, I don't know. I'm sorry to take your time.
No. Well, in a sense, to a certain extent, appearance is everything. I mean, there's no reason why an honest question couldn't be asked and an honest answer couldn't be. You might not like the answer, but at least, hey, we needed to do this because we spent this, or we needed. I understand that township is a business. I understand that taxes have to be developed or drawn in to basically pay for a lot of the services that we have.
Right.
We have a great town. I mean, our police force and our first responders are fantastic.
Yep.
Everybody, some people could agree or disagree, but that's the one thing that's great about this country is that we can agree to disagree, but we can all still have a civilized conversation about things. I think it's my opinion, that if you have a little bit more openness to things and say, we had to do this because of this. The roof was collapsing on this building, and that's why we needed to spend X amount of dollars for this new roof.
Yeah.
We tried to patch it up the last couple of years, but we couldn't patch it anymore.
Yeah.
It's no different than, a homeowner. It's okay, well, it's leaking. Can I patch it now, or do I wait until 2 years? And, how long can I patch it before you have to pay the big expenses?
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't want to pay the big expense. Eventually, sometimes that's going to happen, but I think if you're honest, if there's honesty with the voters of Gloucester Township, not the voters, the residents of Gloucester Township, the voters too, because they need to vote on this. I mean, it maybe things would go a little smoother.
Well, I think that's part of it. Like when you're saying, like, you need to make the big boy question. Like, let's put our big boy pants on and make the decision. We need to replace the roof in your scenario. In your scenario here, unfortunately, that's on an election year. So what we do in Gloucester Township was like, nope, we're going to borrow for that. It's not going to raise any taxes right now. We're going to kick the can down the road. All right, we're gonna now we got to pay some debt service down this year here, so our bills go up a little bit. But now this next year we're going to do this, and it's, from my opinion, it's my opinion, they're kicking the can down the road, borrowing money, putting us more and more in debt because of a political outcome that they want, whether it's remain in office. And we've proven this out on our on our social media and everything else before, of the steps of where they go, like every other year, raising those taxes. That's decisions that are made where they're sometimes you have to. Sometimes we had to raise the taxes. Sorry guys, if does that mean I lose? Okay, I lose, but they cannot lose in their in the world that they kind of live in over there, right?
In a way. So what if you lose? I mean, so what if you lose? You went in, you did your 4 years of public service, and then somebody else comes in and does their 4 years.
Wait,
then,
so if that's not the case, then you're doing it for a different reason. You're not doing it for everybody. You're doing it for yourself. For that, you're extending your own.
The guy that comes in
power.
after you does such an amazing job that even you're blown away. All right, well then maybe that guy's a little bit better at doing this, and then maybe that guy or girl goes and does one more term, and then somebody says, all right, let's give somebody else a shot now.
Right.
I like the fact that we can maybe just keep revolving people through, so that more people can contribute to the town. Right now, I feel like everybody they see what they're up against, and they're like, I can't beat that. So
Yeah, I mean that's
You know?
kind of what I was
Why
saying.
Not, I mean, just on that topic, then why not, just out of curiosity, why doesn't council and it could go up the board, up the level, is why not have term limits on things?
Well, you got to ask them that.
Oh,
Right?
well, I know, but I'm just saying it's a conversation piece because, I firmly believe that people get involved with politics, whether it's local, whether it's school board, whatever, because they see a change that they think that they can make. And they're willing to put their name out there and say, hey, I'm willing to fight for you, the people of this town, this township, to give you a voice. And that's what I'm fighting for. But I think after you get in there for X amount of years, it becomes that you're not doing it so much for the town, you're doing it more for your self-interest. And I think that could be something that comes back and haunts me and bites me, but I'm a firm believer that, if the President of the United States can serve 10 years, or 8 years, I'm sorry, anyone elected official, from president down to city dog catcher, excuse the expression, if you can't get your shit done in 10 years, then get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I know I cursed on, a live stream, and, you may have to bleep me, but
we're not that sophisticated here.
We couldn't afford the button, so we didn't.
That's
I
like
didn't have
$50
it.
and we don't have.
Yeah.
well,
you should.
I truly am sorry for that. But
No, that's fine.
No, it's. Look, I agree. I agree that we should. We shouldn't worry about whether or not we're going to get reelected in a public position. We do what we can, and then if we can't do it, then let somebody else try, or at least let somebody else come up there and prove that they couldn't do it either.
Yes.
Well, so I want to play devil's advocate with both of you, right?
Yeah.
And what if it's not a self-serving thing? Now, let me take out the people that are up there for 20 years. Like in 20 years, you should be able to do this. There are barriers and limitations because of the way that the system is designed to stop specific progress and certain progress. So it's like you have to do this in order to get to this point, and you can't do that because of this and this, and the system does stop you from making drastic changes, which in a way is good.
Checks
In a
and
way,
balances.
it's a way, and it's frustrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, is it possible in Tim's scenario, where he's saying, well, it becomes for yourself? Is it because you didn't I've and the reason I'm asking is because I've spoken to people who have been long-term, we'll call them, more than one term in office, that debate running again because they're like, I'm so close to being able to get this done. You know what I mean? And they're like, one more term will help me get this done. It's not necessarily for them personally, a financial thing, but I don't know if it's a pride thing but there is something around that. You know what I mean? It's not a intentional.
I think it's a team thing here.
What's that?
I think it's a team thing here. I think they don't want to. I mean, we've seen a couple people leave.
Okay,
current
it's like
positions, right?
Eagles versus
and
Cowboys.
They leave, they pack up, they move their house out, and they go, hey, by the way, guys, I moved, and then they're gone. They didn't want to,
Yeah.
They didn't want to put that on the team and go, guys, I have to leave, because they were afraid of what was going to happen to them when they said they wanted to leave. And if they decide, I don't want to run again, and they're like, we don't have anybody on deck right now that's any good, so you got to stick around, kind of thing. I think that's
Well, there might be some truth to that, but where do you draw the line at? Do you say, okay, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, 5 terms? Is there a time
I don't
frame
know
for
the
that?
answer to that.
But
yeah.
the other issue is that if politicians won't put a term limit on themselves, it's the voters are supposed to do that, right?
yeah.
So if we
But they need
as
'em.
citizens
Well,
don't go
voters
out
don't
and vote,
write laws though.
Yeah, but
That's-
the voters need to vote for people that say that up front, that this is what I'm going to do when I get in there, and then the voter holds them responsible and says, look, this is what you said you were going to do. You didn't do it, so therefore, next election, I'm not voting for you.
Yeah, and that's
So-
the one thing that's saving grace about here. It's if you want to say it's a trial. I'm running for 1 year.
Yeah, it's an
it's
excellent.
just a special election, and
excellent point.
it's only from this November until next November. If I don't win, all right, maybe you'll see my name on the ballot next year as a candidate for council again, and then maybe the voters, then
Do you feel you would want to run again next
it's
year?
too early to make that decision at this present moment.
Oh, come on. If we're
If
looking
I-
for
if-
long-term
if I
change, you
win-
need to.
if I
The answer
win-
was yes that I was looking for.
If I
myself,
win, yes,
but-
I'm running again.
Okay.
If I don't win, I'm going to take
Yeah, you're gonna take a
couple
long,
weeks
hard
off
look.
to-
Yeah.
I'm not going to give an answer
I
right
understand
now.
that.
because my wife might hit me in the back of the head and say no.
Right. Hey, dummy,
But-
no.
If
But
you
she
don't
does.
win,
She supports me, and like everybody else that's been around me has supported me. So, as I said, I just want to basically. I would like to give the people of Gloucester Township a voice and be their advocate for asking questions at council meetings or in council behind the closed doors, to give them the opportunity. If you want to say it's a trial, then you vote for me for a year. Then you don't vote for
Yeah.
You don't. It's your choice
hear ya.
whether it's the people's choice whether they want me or not. To
Gotcha.
give them a sample.
All right.
well, if you don't win, we're all giving up, right? Because at this point, if you have, and I said this, I saw this on Facebook, that like if you've got a no sell the sewer sign in your front yard
And a Troxel sign?
and a Troxel sign in your front yard, you're confused, right? If you're gonna go there and hit the button or scratch the thing, we scratch the thing off and you scratch the little circle now. No on the sewer, then you should also, then Tim should also be in that thought too, because he thinks like you and he then represents you. Maybe not every way, but he represents you on the big thing that is on the ballot right now, and I think that's a really important thing to look at. So I think that if the sewer doesn't pass, and I think Tim wins too.
Well,
I mean, that logically that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that. I think, though, that the sewer question has more tentacles out there than people really realize. It's not just the sewer. It's the spending that got us into here. It's the how dare your corrupt, your their opinion, like corrupt, mayor going into the works for New Jersey American Water or goes to all of those things are all intermingled into that one single question, right? In my opinion, if that question doesn't pass, or if it does pass, I think it's like there's no hope left. Like I don't know what you can.
If they make it through and sell the sewer, then there's no beating this machine.
But if it passes, there's a ton of hope.
I mean, if it
fails, I'm sorry.
If it doesn't sell.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
sorry.
confuse people right
If
before election
we
day.
are successful in voting it down,
Yes.
it's a huge hey, look what we can do. I mean, I've posted a picture before of like all the little fish going after the shark. It's like there's more of us. Like, there's 9 of them, the total that we have to beat in order to win. Like, this is our town, right? This is what we've
50,000 voters.
Right, all of us. We have the power. You work for us. There's nothing else about it. So if we win, we need to keep that high and keep going and riding. I'm taking his time up again. I'm running here for something. I'm running to get the heck out of here. Go to bed.
Like 2 more hours to go too.
Yeah,
but that's kind of where I'm at. It's I want to give the people the choice, and we have a choice.
Right.
We as citizens of this town, of this community, we have to go out and vote.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that can stop is if we go out and vote. So it's, yes, we might be all the little fishes, but if there's enough little fishes out there, we can overtake it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to overtake the government and this and that, but I'm just saying that I do think that the whole sale of the MUA just seemed. I can't figure out the right word to say because I'm either say something.
Yeah.
Really
I don't want to put you in a.
But
Yeah. Don't make us run Keith's disclaimer again too.
Yeah. Right.
So Tim, anything else you want to add?
Parting words.
No, just as I've stated, it's vote no. Vote no. It is
Tim,
it is a trial. It is a trial thing. It is a trial time. I mean, I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm not. If people are trying to find social media on me, I don't post anything on social media. I don't have a social media account. I have a Facebook account, and last time I posted on that was 10 years ago. It was thank you to our vets and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. That's it.
Well, Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, a lot of this is I'm out of my comfort zone because I've been a very quiet person. I just felt compelled to come out and to give the township a better representation that to give them another voice and to be an advocate for them and it it helped running last year, and then also the sale of the MUA kind of, and with me just being a special election kind of may have helped.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody that's supported me. I want to thank everyone that's you two gentlemen for allowing me to come here, and everyone else that's been supportive of me.
Yeah.
And
Well, thank you.
I hope I can represent Gloucester Township the way I can, and if you give me the opportunity to do that, I would.
All right.
Excellent.
Well, we appreciate you
as
throwing
well
your
as
name
you.
out there and running, and we appreciate you coming here and talking to us and doing this. It's not easy for somebody that doesn't do this on a regular basis. It's not easy for me even to sit here and talk, knowing that we're live. We're live. There's there's people watching
Yeah,
too.
well, I'm actually surprised I didn't look like
I'm
a deer in
looking.
headlights.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not
tongue-tied,
deer in
'cause
headlights now. Too.
I thought it was just gonna be like, "Hi, I'm Tim Pfeffer," and that's it. And you weren't going to get any other conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, we kind of Well, I remember we did the I missed it. I think it was on vacation, but we did the radio thing last year, and they
Yes.
said Tim froze up. He didn't know what to say.
Oh yeah, I definitely looked like a deer in the headlights, and it was not a good thing, but it was definitely a learning experience. But you guys made it very comfortable and very relaxing, so I do want to thank you
great.
for that. So I mean, you guys do a great job, and keep
I'm
up the good work.
going to do a speed test for you. How many F's are in your last name?
3.
Damn, he got it. Look, F. He got it right instantly. This is
And
our
it's
guy.
actually
This is our
It's
guy.
actually pronounced Pfeffer. The P is silent, but think of Dr. Pepper.
It's like
F.
fish.
Yes.
PH.
when
There's
you
no-
capitalize.
But actually, there's no H.
It's
It's
PF.
not like it's like Pfeffer.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
When I did our website last year, our names were all capitalized, and when you capitalize Pfeffer, they all it just was like
Look, pepper. There it is, Pete. Yep. Oh.
Because the E stand up with the F's, and it just looks like. So,
Like Ed Bassmaster.
next up, thank
All
you so
right.
much, Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
Everyone's encouraged to hang out if they want. I've got another microphone over here, and so
Yeah, if anybody wants to hop on, that's fine.
the next thing up. Is look. We're gonna go through the whole ballot here.
All right. Yep. So we're not doing local anymore. This is now the entire ballot that's found
This is
in
everything.
Camden County, Gloucester Township, local, right?
Everything you're gonna see.
Peace out,
and
folks.
Everything you're gonna see on your ballot, and a little bit of info, and so it's kind of a
I'm gonna learn something here today. Joe's gonna teach me.
kind of a little trial and error here to see what it would be like if I wasn't, and I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, a little burned out politically this year. Didn't stick my head into a lot other than council meetings and sewers, but I didn't look at anybody else.
Okay.
I know nationally what's going on with president. I've dug into all the presidential candidates. There's a lot of them actually, not just 2, but there are 2 that are clearly going to. It's clearly going to be one of the 2. So, but the rest of them, I basically had no idea. And I thought when we decided to do this, and I thought, how am I going to talk about these people without having all that knowledge on it? But I thought it would be great if I did one day go through, in one day find out, about 4 hours or so, find out everything that I can about everybody on the ballot. Just to prove that you don't have to be, because a lot of people go, I don't have time. I don't have time for politics. I don't get into politics.
Yeah.
In one day, can you make an educated vote in one day? And I feel like for the most part, yes.
You mean something that's going to affect you the next 4 years? Can you take one day?
One day, yeah.
And one day equals 4 hours, is what you're saying.
So yeah, yesterday at the end of work. So from 5 until we all went to Halloween trivia last night. So for about 2 hours, I spent about 2 hours doing some notes on some candidates, and went through and picked out what I could today. And then when I had a little bit of free time at lunch today, I went through some more, and I struggled a little bit on some candidates. I reached out to 2 friends of ours and said, see what you could find on this group of candidates, and then let me know. And I thought, basically with their combined efforts, one day for one person, you could find out enough. So here's what we found in one day. So, top of your ballot. Outside of the very top of the ballot, I believe is going to be your school board stuff. We've talked about those. We've talked about that.
Yep.
We've met people there that we care about. But then the next thing on the top of the ballot is your presidential candidates. So key points here. We've got Kamala Harris and Donald Trump running. There's some other candidates there, but we're at the point now where we're this late,
They don't have a chance.
we're this
other than
late
those
into the
two that
election
you
now.
named, yeah.
We know that we know it's going to be between one of the two. Key points here for Donald Trump: end the war in Ukraine, fix the border wall, and the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. Repeal President Biden's electric vehicle mandates, and taxes on tips and overtime. Stop taxing Social Security benefits for seniors. Expand the child tax credit to up to $5,000 per child. Any idea what it is now? Is it like 1,000?
I don't know.
It was like 1,000 or 2,000.
It's a good question. I don't know.
And then replace the Affordable Care Act. They were the top things
Oh my God, that's been said how many times? You're going to do this
since we got the Affordable Care Act.
Right, that's not happening.
Kamala Harris.
We're not giving opinions on this. We're just stating what people's.
Yeah, I don't. Like, last thing I want to
Platforms
do is give an opinion on an election where this polarizing here. So Kamala Harris take on pharmaceutical companies, pledge to sign legislation that restores a federal right to abortion, eliminate price gouging on groceries, expand the child tax credit to up to $6,000 for newborn children. So that is a little bit different. I did kind of go back and forth on that.
Yeah.
So the Trump thing is $5,000 for children. Hers is $6,000 for newborns.
Okay.
And then a Republican to her candidate, which she feels would set her apart from
For cabinet.
what
Okay.
from
so-
what President Biden did. Big things on the ballots are the big thing I keep hearing about is abortion. One's gonna ban abortion. One is not gonna ban abortion. They are both have openly said neither one are going to ban abortion. One just supports it on the states, and then one supports it being a federal. One supports putting it in the states' hands, which is Trump. And the other one supports making it a
federal thing, right.
to codify it nationally. So that is the two. That is the two on there. There's some other candidates out there, like we mentioned. I know Chase is the Libertarian candidate. There's a bunch of socialist candidates.
Well, well, he's now.
Well, yeah, Robert F. Kennedy. That's a good point. Robert F. Kennedy is on the ballot.
I said JF.
Yeah, that was his uncle. Robert F. Kennedy is on the ballot. He is not running. If you, for some reason, don't watch the news, he's no longer running. He has put his support behind Donald Trump, but some states refuse to remove him from the ballot. So he did what he could to remove it, but they did not allow that to happen.
That's interesting.
So.
Well, anyway, we move on to the Senate candidates, right?
That's the first time we ever talked about president stuff here.
Yeah, and then we're not going to continue. We're going to move on to Senate candidates here. We have Andy Kim, local guy.
Hey, Andy Kim and Curtis Paschal.
Curtis. Yeah,
this is
he's also local. Well, this is right. Yeah, it's local. It's district.
Yeah,
District 1.
Yeah,
duh.
It is. Yeah.
Sorry.
I can't remember where Kim is.
He's in Morristown.
And then Paschal is out of Cape May. Paschal's business is out of Cape May. So.
Yeah, where does he live? Is that in your notes here?
Andy Kim, I didn't take notes on where they live.
We didn't get their addresses. Sorry, folks, we not providing our addresses.
They both do have websites. Andy Kim is currently serving as congressman for New Jersey's 3rd congressional district, which is a bit north of us. He is what stood out to me looking him up was he kind of stood up to Phil Murphy and the.
Oh yeah, there was a whole big scandal, not scandal, but a whole big thing about that.
His wife, Phil Murphy's wife, wanted this position too. So he stood up to them. They're both Democrats, which is it's an admirable thing. I think that that he stood up against someone in his party. So I really did, and I credit friend Ray Henry to. I was on the phone with him when I was doing some research, and he mentioned that, and I thought that is a good thing to bring up.
Well, there's and then the next item that's on here too is also I took a stand against the county lines in politics, and that's another big win I would say that happened recently, and somebody that has been very active in the sewer sale, Kate Delaney, had a big hand in that as well, as far as getting rid of that county line where it's like the party kind of selects like who it is that's going to win in a primary. And the way there's such a, for all of us that are not political masterminds, there is a mastermind out there, and they know that putting a ballot in this format is going to end up in this result here. So like you were just talking about certain states not removing Robert Kennedy from ballots. There's a reason that they're not removing him. They don't want this to happen because of this one. You know what I mean? It's a whole, there's a whole science behind it.
Because because that state has an opinion on the voters that are going to vote for Kennedy.
Yeah.
And they want people to still vote for Kennedy, so it takes away from the person that they feel like it'll go to.
Right.
So this county line thing too is I really like this idea because it's from a Republican Party standpoint. Working in local politics here, it's been a big fight. 6 candidates want to come up and run for a spot, and the county says, "No, you can run in the primary."
Well, it all has to do with this. It's all about money, right? Who they think can get the money.
These are our people right here. These are our people that we're behind. If you want to run against them, go ahead. You'll be over there in this other column.
Yeah.
So I do support that. I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but he's
yeah. But so we'll move on. I kind of took us off rail with that and gave opinions about something that I shouldn't.
Worked hard on reducing prescription drug costs for seniors. That's something that he's still working on. I watched actually on these guys. I watched.
They actually have debates. So like to your point, like if you spend a day, you could have found a debate with Andy Kim and what's his? Oh my God, I forget his name.
Curtis Bashal.
Yep. Bashal.
He's also against the state local tax. They call it the SALT.
Yeah.
The cap. So right now there is a cap on if your property taxes are is a cap $10,000.
$10,000.
So if your property taxes are $11,000, you can put $10,000 of that up against your federal.
Yep.
And then the rest you basically don't get credit for. So he's against that. Actually, both candidates are against that. He wants to stop. He's also another big thing too. He wants to stop Congress from trading individual stocks a week. We talked about adding more members to it, and then putting term limits on it. I wasn't really in. I felt like adding more members to it was reactional to what we have right now going on. I thought that was a bad idea, but then I did think that there should be some limit. My own personal opinion. I thought there may be some limit. But it's not 8 years. Like they need to be in there. I thought, and it's funny because I said it the other day. I said maybe 10 years, or maybe there's an age limit. Some of these folks get so old now,
right?
They're basically dying in their seats while they have it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So I think maybe cap it. Maybe I don't cap it at like 80 years old or something like that.
Well, his is to set it for an 18-year term limit. Is what
18-year term limit. It's a good discussion I think that we could have. And he'd like to codify Roe v. Wade, so he would like to make that basically.
Codify in other terms means to just set laws around it. So it's not. It's defining what that means. You know what I mean?
Federally.
Federally.
Right. As of right now, it is not a federal issue anymore. It's a state issue. He would like to make it a federal issue again. So that's what I found on him.
Those are his main bullet points.
They were his main bullet points.
Then Bashal has his own, right?
Yeah. Bashal grew up in South Jersey. Owns a hotel business in Cape May. He says that his take on it is that New Jersey needs a businessman's approach for this position. He wants to stop. He feels like we need to be a little more disciplined on our spending. He feels.
Well, I think both of those go hand in hand. They're kind of the same statement, right?
Yeah, that's a given. That's a given for New Jersey. I mean, we are one of the top tax states in the country. What are we, number 2, I think? So there is reason for that. He does not. One of the things that that Andy brought up was that putting price caps on things. That was one of the things that Andy mentioned in an interview, that he wanted to put price caps on things, prevent gouging.
Okay.
And Curtis and then some others have said that putting price
don't
caps on
believe that.
things. It
has not proven to work. Right?
We did it. We tried it in the '70s with some things, and it failed. And they said, like,
do you know what example? Do you have an
not-
example of that? Like what failed? Do you know?
It
Not
was
to put
gas.
you on
It
the
was
spot,
gas.
but-
We did.
So
we
there was
did,
a cap on gas prices.
I think we did caps on gas, which I think led to gas shortages, which led to the long gas lines.
Okay.
Um,
Which led to Gloucester Township having a 4-day work week.
That's right. Yeah, man. Yeah, that really brings that back. So yeah, that's one of the things that he said, and as I agree with Andy on some things. I agree with Curtis on that. That is a proven thing that it has not worked.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree with him. I doesn't work. All right, so he stresses that New Jersey is one of the most overtaxed states in the country and one of the least affordable. He believes people making under $150,000 a year, they need cuts. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, I believe that's that's a
I bet
that's a
you
good
Andy
place.
Kim agrees on that also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone can agree.
He stresses that we're the top. We're the third or fourth tax contributors to the federal government, but 49th
That's amazing.
in what we get back.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we're giving because of the amount of money that we get taxed here. We're giving a crazy amount of money to the federal government, but what we get back, 49th. So they call that. They call us a donor state. That is the money that we're putting so much money out that we're basically just donating money.
Well, this is an argument that I'm not even going to get into, but it's been said multiple times by multiple people about like how blue states help fund red states, and we are one example of that actually being that is true. Like you can't deny that that's how it works. Those are the numbers. That's how that goes.
That's also the argument for the salt cap too. When the salt cap came out, that was during tax cuts, but then the cap was put on, and basically what was said was, that's look, that federal thing, fix your state so that your taxes aren't over this cap.
Yep.
So I like the cap to be gone, but at the same time, I wish we didn't have to talk about the cap, because I wish we were just low. We just taxed lower.
Yeah.
So he is also pro-choice and against a national abortion ban. He'd also like to codify and allow women to choose nationally, which is it's not enough.
That's not a typical right wing.
It's not. It's not. He said that he does not believe that he has any part in making decisions for women. So,
all right.
And
those are basically all his points that are on his website.
Surprising, I tell you.
It's
on both of these guys. Surprising that the takes that I came away from both candidates, right? Because had I not done this, I probably would have went and just hit the column with the most people on there and then been done with it. This was nice. This was nice to see folks on both sides. Both sides had things that I really agreed with. So that
there's very few topics that are like super polarizing, and I think everyone knows what they are because they're the only ones that you see commercials for. Beyond like a certain 2 or 3 topics, everyone kind of believes the same stuff. Like we're all the same. Like, but there's just this.
It's
like,
something like 70%.
Look, Dallas Cowboy fans love football, right? They love their team. Eagles players, fans, they love football. Everybody goes tailgate and do that. Like, y'all love the same thing. But I love this.
That's a terrible analogy.
All right, it's horrible analogy, but it's the same thing.
Well, look, Giants fans and Redskins fans, right? They both love football. Both love football. They don't really know. They don't remember what winning's like or anything like that. Eagles fans may love hating Dallas fans more than they like football.
That's true. That is true. But there's okay. So my analogy stands, I think. But anyway,
next up on the list is New Jersey's first congressional district, CD1. If you're in the biz, it's
CD1.
and we got 3 notable. I think there's actually 4 candidates on there. I only found information on 3 of them.
Okay.
So
let's start with Donald.
Donald Norcross. Donald Norcross has been your congressman since 2014. So he's in this 10 years now.
5 terms.
Yes.
Okay.
So he is.
That name sounds familiar, Joe. Who's that?
Well, he's currently your congressman, and he is the brother of power broker George Norcross, also the brother of Philip Norcross.
Wait, those 2 names sound familiar. Did I hear them in the news recently?
Racketeering and extortion.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was it. That was
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier that we would not throw opinions into this.
Right.
Up on that level, when we start getting into what goes on here in town and how it trickles down, this is where it starts. So we have opinions. We have opinions on this here. We're not going to be afraid to give you the opinions on this. This is why we exist.
Yeah.
He believes. So on some interviews and questions and answers for him, he believes in raising wages. And I thought,
I believe in lowering wage. Like who? What?
I was reading it on this website, and my wife was in the room, and I said, Norcross thinks we need raises. Can we take him to our reviews this year? I don't know.
Call his office. Maybe they'll
Thanks. Hey, thanks, Don. He wants to improve healthcare access.
come. Another one. That's pretty.
That's another one that I said, it's look, if you have,
Hey, open enrollment's coming up, right? Maybe he can help.
you can get healthcare. You can get a decent amount of healthcare cheap if you don't have the means to get one through your employer. We've
But
done
why,
it.
So somebody in office that long, hasn't it been fixed yet? Why are there so many topics that come up as long as we've been alive?
There's a lot of people that have been in office for a long time.
And
go,
they don't fix anything.
I'm gonna fix it. And you go, look,
If you fix it, you have nothing to run on.
you've either been in that spot or in an administration that can fix it currently. So, expanding educational opportunities.
I mean, I feel like, no
That's
offense,
it. Well,
Donald,
it's
but I
just-
feel like an elementary kid.
It's a
could've
general
done these.
feel good thing to
Yeah.
say. He is he's 100%.
Supports Israel.
He does. His brother. Remember
His brother had the flag out there. I
flag
remember.
out. The Eagles game got thrown out. He's completely pro-choice. Also, those were the big takeaways. He has.
Oh yeah, pro-choice. Yep. Okay.
He's done a lot of work in the Camden waterfront. People would question whether or not it was all done in the proper way. He's
Yep.
definitely made an impact there.
I see him every so often down at Donkeys on Fridays. Yeah, he comes in with a couple other smooth, slick looking guys.
I guess if you want to have a word with the congressman, you just
Yeah.
hang out at Donkeys, and then you get to meet Keith also.
Oh yeah. Head down to Camden and come say hi.
Running against Donald is Teddy Liddell. So
Yep.
Teddy is he's a resident of Gloucester Township and focuses on leadership, transparency, and accountability.
Okay.
So also
He's a West Point graduate.
feel good words, right?
Yeah.
West Point, yeah. Teddy is a West Point graduate, former U.S. Army captain, practicing attorney, and businessman. Teddy's got a great resume. I ran against Teddy in 2021 for council and saw his resume and thought, whew, that's a great resume.
Yeah.
So, he is. Teddy is a pro-life Christian who is against the national abortion ban, but believes in exceptions for things like.
Rape, incest, and to save the life of the
Yep.
mother.
So he is also believes in a strong southern border, but would like to change the tone of how the southern border is talked about, and believes that some of the immigrants are trying to escape bad situations. Also, he supports the.
Well, you don't have to believe it. That is true. So. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there
not-
are.
Yeah. It's not. It is not an influx of criminals coming across. It is.
Well,
it's a mix.
yeah, exactly.
It's a huge mix.
That's a weird way. So that was a statement on his website?
Yeah.
Is that how that? So Teddy has a website. We know Donald has a website. Teddy has a website.
Yeah.
Our next candidate, the Green Party, has a website also.
This was from.
And after that, is that kind of where it falls off, and you don't see anything from anyone?
This was in a one of the.
I'm jumping ahead.
A couple, yeah. So I went through a couple different news organizations to find some information and kind of just look them up off the ballots. Robin Brownfield is a Green Party.
We also forgot Teddy also supports Israel.
He does.
He states that as well.
Yeah, he does. Robin Brownfield is a Green Party candidate, lives in Collingwood, is a former union organizer for the United Farm Workers, and taught sociology at Rutgers and Camden County College. She is Jewish, but opposes what she calls the genocide in Gaza and the West Bank expansion. So, interesting take on that.
Okay.
She does not support any more aid to Ukraine. She supports getting rid of the border wall and installing welcome centers to screen people coming in. And I thought that was fine. For some reason, I thought that was funny because I thought, if you put a welcome center in
Instead of a wall.
and then you get rid of the wall, wouldn't people just walk around the welcome center and come in? I mean, all right, but maybe why don't you cut a hole in the wall, put a welcome center in the middle. That way they gotta go through it. I don't know. I just thought
The hole is the
I
welcome
don't-
center?
Yeah, the
Is that
hole
what
is the
you're
welcome center.
Gotcha,
But,
okay.
but there's a
that could
process
work.
to get through the hole. If
That's supposed to be kind of what it is, I thought
Right.
a border was. I don't know.
But yeah, if you don't have a wall, they're just gonna come across and walk anywhere they want. So I don't know. I there was probably more context to that, but that is what it said on there, and I thought there's probably some more context to that one too.
Yeah.
She also supports codifying Roe versus Wade. So that is there. It was one more other candidate that I at the last minute saw, and I thought, oh, I didn't see anything on them. So- Sheriff. So yeah, Chuck Billingham is a Democrat candidate for sheriff in Camden County, and he is the former Camden County sheriff from 2007 to 2015. When he retired, he was also chief of police in Washington Township and served as mayor of Gloucester City, New Jersey. He played a key role in the transition of the Camden Police Department to the Camden County Metro Police, which I believe is what currently has.
That's what, yeah, is the police department in the Camden City now.
And he is running against Sean Williams, who is the Republican candidate for sheriff. And I couldn't find any information. Do you have?
We have
okay.
someone else that's here. Was sitting in the green room, popped in and said, "Hey, I know that, but we have it listed as this guy Sean Williams is a phantom candidate."
That's all I just put
But
down.
we don't know nothing about
I
it.
don't
But
know.
somebody popped in here, so we have. Here we go. Actually, Ray Henry. So Ray Henry is claiming he knows this Sean Williams.
So I met Sean a few times down at Chuck Lager's before they shut down.
Okay.
At a few.
I was hoping it's not after. So
No,
Yeah, they're just
a little creepy.
Yeah.
It may have been.
beer's free now.
okay. So tell us about him.
So he's been like a 30-year law enforcement officer. I believe he still works for the sheriff's department
Okay.
as an officer under the current sheriff, who's a Democrat. So he's.
Is Chuck Bellington the current? Is that who that is? Or
I
you
think
don't know?
so. I think he may be
Okay.
the incumbent.
Okay.
I know at one point in time he did run, where
Okay.
he did have a Democrat sheriff above him.
Okay.
You know, did he by any chance come from Connecticut? Williams,
I think Tennessee.
Tennessee. Okay, because I think
I think Tennessee because I know he currently lives in Lindenwold.
okay.
Who?
Not
Sean
sure.
Williams you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to.
Is Lindenwold Camden County?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Is it? Okay.
yeah. So I couldn't find anything on Sean Williams, and the only thing that when I asked two other folks to look some stuff up, I thought that he was out of Connecticut and ran up there, and I can't include that because I don't know if that's true or not. So I was a little irritated by the lack of information on some of the Republican candidates.
All right. Well, yeah, you definitely voiced that, but I'm I'm gonna kick this over, not to put you on the spot, Ray, but do you know what because you're a I don't want to say law enforcement guy, but like a military. That's your career. You're in military kind of. What does a sheriff run on? Like, what do you need to be a sheriff? Like, why is it a political thing? Why is it Republican or Democrat?
It's not really. It's not supposed to be political, but it is a party affiliation. Like, they don't do anything with any of the law. Well, the law enforcement aspect of it. But it's just that's what they do. They just do the law enforcement aspect. They don't get involved in the legislation.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's completely. It's supposed to be. It should be separate.
So is it more like it should be like a school board thing where there's no party should be involved, but then there is a party backing one or the other, and that's kind of where they.
It's the same way.
Okay, so that's.
Yeah, I think law enforcement and law enforcement has been a partisan issue in the last couple of years. They've tackled it different ways.
Yeah, with the defund the police and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you mean?
some people think some people want more of kind of a social worker aspect to it, and less in police, less more demilitarizing the police. Yes, and then as to where the Republican side is a little bit more law and order.
Yeah.
They feel like there's some situations where you can't send a social worker in because they won't walk out of that situation. So.
Yeah, that's very true.
I just checked. I did email the chair of the Camden County.
Yeah, because you were talking about, you were just saying this, like there was so little information at all on any Republican candidate beyond even that Senate. You said you struggled to find, right? So that was the highest we went up before president, right? Curtis Bashall.
Curtis has got a decent amount of information.
Oh no, Teddy.
Yeah,
did you say you found Teddy's had a website?
Teddy's got a website. I would have liked to have seen more from Teddy. Because look, if I had a resume like Teddy, I'd be everywhere. I'd be everywhere, putting it out all over the place.
I think he is everywhere. I don't know that. I feel like he goes all over the place. I feel like. And this isn't a knock, but I feel like he's been running as long as I've been involved. He's always running for something.
It's commendable. It's commendable to want to
What's
to
that,
serve
Ray?
the public.
I believe he ran for council, assembly, may have been a school board, and a few other positions because I know he ran with us.
Yeah.
Against you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I guess I am correct that he's been running for a while, and you're correct. He has a good resume there, but beyond that, there's not a lot of information out there on. So I was talking to somebody about saying, "Hey, we're doing this podcast tonight about," and I said Joe wanted to do every candidate on the whole thing. I said he's struggling to find information on anybody, kind of breaking their stones about this, and they said. A good point. They said that, in the local Republican county race recently, they had a new chair. So maybe the chair, because they weren't all on board with this chair, they were with the other chair. Maybe there was problems, you know what I mean, back and forth. And you had brought up the point. So I brought up the point. I said, well, Joe brought up, he said, I should reach out to the Camden County chair to find out why are there not any information on these people. Right.
I didn't want to talk bad about about the lack of information, and have somebody come back to me and say, "It's right. It's all right here." Like I was on the Camden County Republicans Facebook page, all the stuff that they're promoting, and I'm looking for things on their candidates, and I went back to like May, and I thought if I can't find anything from May to now on your candidates other than just like fundraisers that you're doing, well then what are you raising all this money for?
Right.
So. I was really let down by it, and if it comes down to just a website with everything about you, sometimes that's just enough for somebody to say, now I know where you stand.
Right.
And a website is
fairly simple in 2024.
In cases like I have donated websites.
Right.
To do so it's. It's a couple $100. It's a couple $100 to get your name out there. A county or even a municipal committee can pay for it. It's not a big thing.
So Camden County Clerk is another position that is on the ballot, right? And we have a Democrat position and a Republican. Again, not much on the Republican. We do of the Democrat. We have at least one line of item. It has been Assemblywoman representing New Jersey's 6th legislative district since 2006.
So these are
She's
two
also been the
people.
deputy speaker, right?
These are two people that have. So Joseph Ripa
Yep.
was your clerk up until he decided not to run again. So this is why neither one of these folks have had this office yet. So they're both running for it.
Right.
Pamela Lampett, like we said,
And that is Kelly Ripa's father. That's who we're talking about.
is it her father?
Yeah. Or grandfather. Somebody's related.
I know it's in the family because I know that. Oh, you found a Facebook page for
Jennifer.
Exler? Okay.
Oh, what do we got, right? Read us. Jen Exler.
Where's her?
We can cross Phantom off of our list here.
Well, her mission is to bring integrity, accuracy, and efficiency to the county clerk's office.
Nah, I mean, I think it's kind of open. It's open right now. You can't criticize anybody one candidate can't criticize the other candidate. So
Yeah.
they're both basically just saying, give me a chance. So Lampett had a little bit of information. I did not scroll too much through Facebook to find information. You know, I was hoping for some interviews, some patch articles.
Yeah.
We got
NJ
a lot of stuff to
Globe.
go through. Oh my god.
Yes, we do, Keith. Yes, we do.
Jesus. Well, is Chip still here? He could fill in for me.
All right, next.
We're gonna move on to
Next up on the list here, Camden County Commissioners. So,
Jeffrey Nash.
Jeffrey
you
Nash.
may know him. He was been in office since before you were born.
33 years he has been a commissioner.
Yeah.
Since 1992. So Jeffrey Nash is an attorney at a private law firm. He is the CEO of Rowan Rutgers Board of Governors and was appointed as vice chair of the Delaware River Port Authority. Isn't the Rowan Rutgers Board of Governors, is that thing our mayor's involved in?
Oh my god, yeah. So our governor is the chair. Jeffrey Nash. This is a highly controversial, and this one really pissed me off personally. But he had a pension that was going to be based off of like a $32,000 a year salary, right? He was appointed basically to this position with no other candidates, interviewed or asked or anything else. Just job wasn't posted. He was just, oh, you're the CEO of that, $275,000 a year. And the way the pension works is if he's that position for like 2 years or so, that's what his pension for the rest of his life is based off of. Oh. So instead of it being based off of a $32,000 a year taxpayer thing, nope, it's off of $275,000 out of this just randomly created, publicly funded, board who has eminent domain power in Camden, New Jersey. Like you're like, what? Wait, what? How is this? Oh, wow. In Camden. Oh, really? Right down the street? Oh, it meets right down the street from Norcross's office. So you sit right there. And it's like, hey, we're going to take over all this land over here. And I'm going to get a government-funded pension for the rest of my life off of that.
All right. So I was.
So here we are back again expressing opinions.
I was
right?
looking. Well, no, I saw. Well, that this is. We said we were going to do this when we got down to this level.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, a lot of good things on here. Focuses his career on public service. Initiative is primarily supporting parks, public safety, community welfare. Plays a role in the removal of the Riverfront State Prison. Also helped establish the Camden County Metro Police Department. He was involved in projects like Parks Alive 2025, plan and development of the Link Trail, which aims to create recreational trails across Camden County. And he's an advocate for the animal welfare through Norman's Law, which restricts the sale of dogs from puppy mills in Camden County. The puppy mill thing, I was like, I like this guy, but I knew that there was some stuff that other people didn't like about this guy. I couldn't remember what it was. That's kind of a big thing you brought up there.
Well, yeah, there are. You can. How do I say this?
It's not his only.
You can have an opinion about all these different. Not everything is Nash also helped establish the Camden County Metro Police Department. That might sound like it's a good thing. There are several people that would tell you that they don't like that there's a Camden County Police Department.
Like, isn't there no police department in Camden now because it was replaced by
exactly
that?
Yeah.
But wasn't that a good thing for Camden?
That's where I'm saying it's debatable whether you think that's true or not.
Wasn't at one point they were supposed to merge with Cherry Hill or something? I think.
I'm not sure if
I'm
it
not
was
sure.
Cherry Hill.
But I know they
that-
were supposed to merge with someone. Was
Yeah.
it the sheriff's department?
I don't know. Sheriff's Department, as far as I know, they handle the courthouse. Is how like a sheriff works in like so certain states have like sheriffs as like their police department, right? But in Camden County, I believe that the sheriff's department kind of just deals with the courthouse, and then the other police local municipalities have their own police department. But this is a Camden County Metro, which are based out of Gloucester Township, right over in Lakeland, and they go all the way down to Camden. So you see those vehicles like all the time, going down, and we're paying for it. Other parts of the county are paying for Camden's police department. So
you essentially
when you
keep
say
funding
is it a
the
good
police
thing or a
department.
bad thing, that's a debatable thing. So when I'm saying to you is as you're reading all these different things that he played a role in removal of Riverfront State prison. That's not necessarily a in stone good thing for every single person. You know what I mean? Some people think that's a bad thing. Hargrove owns that property that's right next to it over there. Like there's a lot of stuff on that Camden waterfront done
Favors.
not always for
Yeah.
so
But-
it's a good resume too. He's
30
been out there again for as longer than you've been alive.
33
almost.
years. This goes back to our discussion earlier. Let's see what else.
Yeah.
Let's see what else somebody else
See
can
who
do.
else has an idea.
Melinda Kane is also a Democrat who is currently in the role. She's been a commissioner since 2019 when somebody else left. She took over. She lives in Cherry Hills, been a Camden County resident for 40 years. Her son Jeremy was killed in Afghanistan. In the years since, Melinda has dedicated much of her life to public service, specifically Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
That is on a lot of what you can find about her is a lot about her being a Gold Star
Okay.
mother, and the work that she's done in that is what has stood out. So that was all. That's all that I knew.
How many commissioner positions are up on the ballot? Do we have the ballot here?
3.
There's 3 this year?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the third one is Al
Dyer, yeah.
Dyer. He's a Pennsauken resident of more than 20 years. He's been a commissioner since 2020. Currently Camden City Director of Human Services from 2023 until the present. 20 years of youth athletic experience. Dyer's also been involved in efforts to address issues such as affordable housing. And then we move on to Republican candidates for county commissioner. So basically all 3 Democrat. There's not a 4th Democrat running. There's just 3.
Right.
Is that because it's like not the primary, so they only put 3 on? Is that how that? I guess that has to work that way.
Oh, it's 3. Yeah, there's
I'm an
I
idiot.
forget how many there are. There are total, but there are 3 that are currently up for re-election right now. Those 3 have the seats. The 3 Republicans we're going to talk about here, they want the seats.
Yeah.
So Danielle Barry is a Republican social worker. She is. This was hard to find. I know Danielle had come out to some of our campaign events when we ran last year in support of us.
Okay.
So I really wanted to do her some justice and find some good information. I could not find any information. I had somebody else
Where'd
look
you
it
get
up.
this stuff from then?
I had somebody else look it up,
Okay.
and they couldn't find any information. They asked ChatGPT, who went out and found some information.
Chat
on her.
GPT for the win.
So I looked. She's being that she's running with Norman and Donald Smith. Donald Smith has a website, but the other 2 are not mentioned on that website. And again, that was another one of the candidates that I asked the Republican chair for.
Okay.
I didn't get a response back. She's campaigning with a focus on addressing what she sees as mismanagement and lack of accountability within the county's administration. Barry's an advocate for policies that enhance transparency and promote responsible spending, especially given the county's significant budget and financial challenges. Barry's platform also highlights her commitment to improving the quality of life in Camden County by addressing issues such as public safety, effectiveness of county services.
Okay.
So that is what I found for her. Ray, do you know anything about Danielle at all?
Yeah, I talked to her when at the axe throwing event,
Mm-hmm.
and a few of the other times that I've seen her out, especially again at what did I just say? It's closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
Chuck Loggers. That's right.
There you go. Yeah. She's pretty level-headed. Very passionate about what she wants to get accomplished and what she sees as wrong, and how she wants to make it right. I have no problem, and we've talked many a times about candidates, especially over the last 2-3 weeks. We've been back and forth, and how I'm pretty fair and balanced with what I've said about every candidate that we've talked about. She's pretty level-headed. I definitely like her, and she is. She's definitely cares.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got no problem putting any support behind.
All right, so we have
she's been around for a while, and she's running with Norman Rebel, also Republican. His platform is focused on reform, big topic in New Jersey, government reform and transparency. He is an advocate for reducing government spending and increasing fiscal responsibility in county operations. That is it's a big ask for and a lot of Republicans. Same kind of thing. Big. That's the big ask.
Yeah.
Donald Smith is running with the two of them. He is a resident of Lindenwald. He's been a Camden County resident his entire life, and his background started in logistics with UPS in Lawnside, and then moved into sent himself to school and took on information technology. And I believe he's still in that field. He has no prior political experience, which I believe he said that it's one of his highlights. Is that he's not a politician.
I was gonna say it's interesting what people put as like their highlights. Like I don't. Does he have some kind of information out there for this? I'm assuming that you're saying
a website.
like
He's got a website.
Okay, so he has a website. So, Camden County resident is a whole life. Is that necessary to be in that position? Not necessarily, but I guess it does have a benefit because you know Camden County fairly well if you lived here your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, look at
no prior political experience.
Look at the guys that
always
run
a
in
positive.
Pennsylvania over the last couple of years, right? Two of their biggest candidates in the last 2 years. The big thing against them was they don't even live here most of the time.
Right. Yeah. Who was that guy? Dr. Oz, right? He didn't even live there for.
Yeah, Dr. Oz. He lived there, and then
who was the other one you were talking about?
Right now, running.
Dave
McCormick. Yes.
Yeah.
McCormick. Apparently, McCormick's rich, and he's got a house in Connecticut also. So that's one of the big things is that he doesn't live here all the time. So I guess it is a big.
I guess it is. All right,
for a guy.
I mean, to be fair, Murphy does have a villa in Italy.
Right.
And he was not a New Jersey resident. I believe he lived in PA before he ran. While he ran.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Our governor is extremely rich.
Speaking of people who've lived forever, Helen Albright Troxel. Huh? What? Yeah. Oh, these are my.
Helen Albright Troxel
has
is
lived Gloucester Township since the inception of
Gloucester
since
Township.
19...
Well, So next up on the spot is the Gloucester Township Council position. Helen Albright Troxel is the Democrat that currently has the seat.
Yes.
I was curious. We did invite her here. I was curious to talk to her. One of the things I was curious about was she decided not to run at the end of her last term, and then as soon as she
did not run.
She was done. She said her goodbyes at the end of the year, and then Hutchison won his spot, and she came right back in, almost like it was planned. And I wanted to know. I wanted to know. I wanted to ask her.
Why did you not run?
What was your decision that made you not want to run, and then decided?
But then decided to change.
I'll come back and do it again.
I could do it.
Was it planned, or are you like, man, they need me. They need me so much, because there are people out there that have asked for that position that are they're Democrats, and they thought that they should get a shake at that. So
They're not good foxhole guys, though.
not Sam Sweet. He is not. He's run for that one a few times and has not made it in there.
So
He's
Ellen
been runner-up quite a few
resides
times.
in Laurel Springs.
Yes,
She's a graduate
she is
from State of New Jersey Government Internship Program at Rutgers, New Brunswick. Serves as secretary of the class. She retired after 30 years of service from Camden County College and has been a Board of Trustees member for 14 years. Is that for the county college? The Board of Trustees member?
Yeah, I
I'm
believe so.
assuming?
I believe so. She is. She's got a long life of public service, and it's. I commend people to put this much of their time into public service. I think it's great. I would like to see more people rotate through these things, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's just no one that wants to do it. So if people want to stay in and do it, it's great.
Yeah.
We have our differences here. We have, the sewer is the big thing that we talked about. We feel, I don't want to say we, I would love the discussion with her, any of these people that have run. We've invited some here before, and unfortunately, they will only talk when there's a 5-minute limit. So, she is running. She currently has a seat. Tim Pfeffer is hoping to get that seat. We've all talked to Tim here a little while ago. If you haven't, if you just tuned in late, we talked to Tim. Before we talked to Tim, we met with 3 Board of Education candidates. The 4 people that came here, I really plus Chip that sat in for you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate what they've done here.
I'll say one thing about Helen Albright Troxels. Almost every time that I go to the municipal building, she's there. It's like in an office. Like, how you go there and like all their offices are connected behind
just
like
keep
where
her
you
there?
go. No, she's there. I don't know what she's doing. She could just be
Homeless.
wandering aimlessly. I don't know. But she's there, and I know that means that she's there doing something, whether it's learning about something, helping with
That's
something.
the public service, yeah.
That's the public service part of, as somebody that's been doing it forever. There is some good to that, So I can't knock that.
We've said this before, and we probably don't say it enough. These are not bad people. These are not all of them. There are some that are bad people. All right. We don't believe that they're bad people. We don't believe that they make these decisions for bad reasons. We just I believe, and maybe you believe, that sometimes they just trust in the people above them are making the best decisions, and they go with those decisions rather than challenging it. And that's kind of all we're asking. That's what we talked to Tim about. Tim said, "Look, I just want
Tim.
I want to ask questions. I want to represent the people. I want to ask the questions."
Right. Tim had said that. I think Mark, if I remember correctly, or Joe, one of them also said, like, I'm just going to trust that you said that because this is what you said is why, but show me. Why is it right? And that, I can't say how much that is a reality. Like, you're told a lot of different things when you ask questions. But you have to ask the follow-up questions. Where does it say that that's the case? And those guys had brought those points up. So moving on to our last person was Tim. I know we kind of had him on, so there's not much. He spoke for himself. We can't really, add too much more to it. But he also had brought those points up of, I'm going to ask those questions of the people who are telling me this is why we can or whatever, whatever.
So hopefully Tim gets his next 30 years of public service lined up
Yeah.
here. So he is still here. He is back here. He's over in the corner just watching. and
So if
laughing.
you start with a full head of gray hair when you get elected, and you're there for 30 years, do you have no hair left, or
Yeah,
is
most
it like
most candidates go in,
just
they look
white
young, and then
blown out like Einstein? I'm not sure.
Maybe Tim will wind up like Biden. Like Biden started off bald, and then over the years as he got older,
He got more hair.
the hair
Really?
moved up
did.
front.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I
When
didn't know
He started
that.
off as a senator. He had
Wow.
the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rogaine, I
Yeah,
think. Is
yeah.
that what it's called?
What-
Yeah.
what
They
is
have
it,
medicine,
the
I guess,
little-
for that.
Them plugs.
Plugs.
Kind
Yeah.
of like what Joe did to your yard. What you did to your yard.
Yeah.
Joe shaved his head. If nobody knows this, Joe recently, he's not going to hat on, but he took clippers and was cutting his hair, and he had no guard on it, and just went
Hey,
right down his,
it grew back in
a
very
reverse
nicely.
mohawk. He had.
Last couple of podcasts, I've worn a hat.
He's not running for office right now, so
I've,
that's okay.
I've worn a hat last couple of podcasts for the reason of I've cut my own hair since COVID. Right, I figured out how to fade it up. Right, different blades, get the mirror, the dual mirrors, do all the whole thing. Right.
Floby.
So
Remember the
I used the Floby.
Yes, I do.
So at lunchtime one day, I had a lot going on. I had a lot to do after work, and at lunchtime, I figured I'd run in and
Cut your own hair.
I cut my hair, and then I ran into the bathroom, and I set all the stuff up, and then I got a text. I didn't get a text, but I looked down and saw a text message, and the guy that comes and treats my lawn was like, "I'll be there in 15 minutes," and I looked down, and I was like, "Well, that was a half hour ago." So I'm like, "Oh my God, he's gonna be here any minute now. I gotta do this real fast." So I had, and so I usually would just like number 7 up here, right?
Yeah.
And like a number 1 on the sides, and then gradually go in different blades. So I've got the number 7 in the hand, and the number 1 on the razor, and I'm like, oh man. And I stood there, and I'm like, and I pushed it over, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
And I messaged my wife, and I go, I effed up really bad. And she goes, what did you do? I said, and I told her, and she goes, what's it look like? I go, picture reverse mohawk. She goes, maybe you can go to a salon and they'll fix it.
There's no fixing this.
She calls me. She goes, she calls me. She goes, maybe you can go to a salon and they can fix it. And I go, with glue? What am I gonna do? So I went back into the bathroom and I went, I took it all off, and I wore a hat for like a good 2 months.
Didn't I talk to you that day? Because I called you
Yes.
and you were.
Yeah,
It was. Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, wearing a hat.
I used the wrong clip. I was like, what? I cut my hair too short.
Yeah, the best was I used the blade 1 on the top, which is used to the side. So to try to combat it,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to go 0 on the sides, which is basically just skin.
Yeah.
And then I looked at that and I go, that looks so bad. So I wore a hat, and my wife was really concerned because it was coming up to our vacation, and she buys all these dresses for all the different nights for dinner, right? And we have to hunt down every photographer on the boat, right? So I'm like, she's like, it better grow. I bought a lot of dresses for this. So it did. Pictures weren't that bad. So
All right, we're way off topic.
we're way
now.
off topic. We're out of candidates. You met 3, I thought, amazing school board candidates tonight.
It was great that they actually wanted to come out and talk and tell people what they're about, why they want to run, and who they are. So it's good.
Yes, since some folks chose to not allow parents to come and meet. Some folks. Oh, they probably should do a disclaimer there because I just spoke out of.
No, that's
You're already doing it.
yeah.
Not a popular thing for me, at least. Don't want to bring you into that, but
So we had
I don't mind.
who were candidates 4, 5, and 10, I believe. were
4,
the numbers
5,
that
4,
came.
5, and 10.
Yeah.
And then for Gloucester Township. Beyond that, no one else decided to reach out and say they would like to be on.
Next year,
We should do it a little earlier.
We'll do this like beginning of September, probably next year. That way everybody has an idea. If they haven't already, by the time when their mail-in ballots come in, they can do that.
Yeah. So make sure to get that notification that you guys subscribe to the channel. turn notifications on. So next year that you'll get a notification that, hey,
next year, and look, sometimes you're just going to be sitting, you're going to be bored. You're going to get a notification that Keith is in a park talking to somebody that has absolutely no idea of what politics or about the Constitution or any rights they have at all. You're going to love that conversation.
But, listen, in my defense, before this whole sewer thing, I was asking people, how much debt do you think we are in this town? And they're like, $1 million. I'm like, $1 million?
Yeah.
That would be awesome if we were $1 million in debt.
Yes.
And, who's Tom Cardis or ask who's the business administrator? No one knew their names. Fast forward, how many months later? All these questions. I bet you if I go out there again. Those people
that didn't know way back then probably have Fire Tom Cardis signs on their front yard.
Yep. So, they now know.
Honestly, the best tip that I got that I've been explaining to people is the 30%.
Yep.
Of the taxes.
Yeah.
People are like, really? I'm like,
yeah, it's not all your taxes.
It's not all.
Yeah.
It's only the township's portion.
But when they say it, they're not lying. That's the screwed up part. Is they're like, say, we'll hold your taxes. When they say your taxes, that's all that they control. It's just 32%. Yep.
It's a word
salad. So if you're paying $10,000 in taxes every year,
they might freeze
all of that.
3,000 of it is frozen. The other's fair game, $7,000 of it.
So.
All right, folks. I think that's pretty much it.
Hopefully, we've given you some kind of some of the stuff. Look, you probably knew enough about it, but maybe there's something out there you didn't know. Maybe at least if we helped you in some possible way, at the very least, we got 4 great candidates. I think that were able to speak, and look forward to doing that again. Hopefully.
Sorry about the little blip in the beginning of the show, but we got it through. Joe came through with his expertise in OSB or OBS. What the hell? OBS?
OBS Studio, yeah.
OSB.
And YouTube. And all of that. So that's it, right?
Yep.
See you.